Oh my gosh, guys, I hope you are ready. Welcome to episode 120 of the Drag Drive Repeat Show presented by Summit Racing. Y'all, tonight, I'm in my element here. I'm telling you, we've got folks, I love the 850 class. We've got 850 class heavy hitters in here. We've got Jay Blanchard, Brian Acton of Fast Act Racing in that gray 70 Nova. We've got Dustin and Steve Trance from the S197 Mustang. We got Mark Campbell, who, we were just talking backstage, put everybody on their ear back in 2022 with one and done 850s at Hot Rod Drag Week 2022. Going to be a crazy night. I hope you enjoy it. Let's get this thing going here. Let me get all this stuff open. Eric is going to be here momentarily, so I'm running this intro by myself. All right, like I said, guys, welcome to episode 120 of the Drag Drive Repeat Show presented by Summit Racing. Tonight, one thing I forgot in that intro is that we're also releasing dates and tracks for the Circuit 2026. I'm really pumped about this. Eric just sent me a message that he is going to be just about 2 more minutes. We were trying to slide in there, but I didn't want to start this thing late because, guys, this is a big show tonight. Like I said, we've got the 850 heavy hitters in here. This is going to be a good one because we're going to get kind of nerdy here in just a few minutes about, what it takes to run 850s, the builds they have, all that kind of stuff. So kind of stalling here just a second, trying to let Eric jump in here. I know he had some stuff going on. So we'll just do this. Y'all, thank you so much for being our race car friends. We appreciate y'all being here. Appreciate everything you guys do for us, man. We've had a crazy week this week, and I'm so excited to be able to announce the Circuit 2026 stuff tonight. And then thank you so much to our sponsors. It really makes a big difference when we start going through the end of the year as we're coming up here on PRI awards and all that stuff. We're also going to announce the room we're going to be in tonight. It's going to be a big show, but we can't do it without these guys. We appreciate them and all the support they give behind the scenes and everything as well. So thank you so much to Summit Racing, Deech Works, Molly Motorsports, Driven Racing Oil, Howard's Cams, J-Wire Solutions, AFCO Racing Products, Performer Built Transmissions, Car Chains 3D, Power Tube TV, WAF Racing, Sweet Patina, and Racing Junk Classifieds. They help us out a ton. Let's jump in here to some comments, see what's going on. Aaron Robertson here. He's excited about the circuit. I am too, sir. It's going to be awesome. Kanan Holland here saying, what's up, dudes? Rich Woodward in here saying, good evening. Working on dropping my engine in right now. If you guys didn't see his stuff, you need to be watching that. It's I can't remember the name of his channel. I always run into this problem. Race Status, I think. Took it out for the first time and heard it, and it's repaired and going back in, I'm guessing here. And then Kanan Hall, yeah, thanks, dude. Don't forget to like and share. Derek Putnam in here, the voice of Sick the Magazine, the announcer at all their events. Going to be a great show. It certainly is. Aaron Roberts saying, howdy, race car friends. Jan Haas. Yes, Circuit 2026. I can't wait, dude. Race Status. I knew it would come to me. He knew I would be, he knew I'd forget it, so he sent it over. So YouTube channel, it's great, does great work, and is a very fast car. Going to be out there for that. We all know Summit Racing's speed legacy began in 1968 as a one-man startup and is now the world's speed shop with 4 facilities and 200 plus catalog editions They feel your passion, save you money, deliver fast, and offer top-notch customer service for more than 1,500 brands. Make sure to download the Summit Racing mobile app for easy access to speed parts. Find them on Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram. You can also tune in to the On All Cylinders podcast for more automotive discussions like you're watching right now. From humble origins to the social media lane, Summit Racing stands by your need for speed. So while you're in there, make sure you grab that Drag Driver Pete merch, that Summit branded stuff, man. It's super cool. I actually saw a hoodie the other night. I was at Tulsa Raceway Park for the Streetcar Takeover single day event, and somebody out there had a Drag Driver Pete hoodie on. I just want to say shout out to that dude. I couldn't make it outside in time to catch him, so appreciate that. And then also, while we're on that same subject, I saw in the back of the Deal Brothers Racing video the other day, somebody wearing a Race Car Friends shirt. So shout out to them too up there at US 131 and all that stuff. Well, I see Eric sneaking in the back there, so we'll let him come on when he's ready here in just a second. But I want to talk about some Drag Drive Repeat updates real quick. If you guys remember, a couple weeks ago, we had the Parking Lot Beers shirt pre-order bundle going on. Well, they're on their way. We're hoping to have them by Monday, which is going to make my next week super busy. So if you need me for something, you need to get to me ASAP, because next week's going to be crazy. We've got a ton of these shirts that are going to be going out, shirts and hoodies both, that are going to be going out. We did order extra, so if you want some, jump on the dragdriverepeat.com site and jump in there and grab yours now. Obviously, you won't get the bundle because you didn't order early, but hey, that's okay. You still get the shirt and support us here at the channel, so we appreciate that. The I don't know, we've got a bunch to pack, so I've already started kind of working on the labels and all that kind of stuff and getting the bags and everything like that ready to put all these things in and get these gone. So that's going to be going out next week, and then I'll leave Wednesday for Midwest Drag Race Series up in Martin, Michigan. So that's a big, exciting setup there. Mr. Eric, how are you this evening, sir?
Oh, I am doing. How are you?
Dude, you're busy guy. That is an understatement, I would assume.
It's always something. I've been gone for like 10 days and I come back and there's just everything's going on.
Yeah, 100%. Well, next up on the ballot is the Drag and Drive Awards. Dude, I've been all over with Travis Wise, our trophy builder this week, talking about the championship belts. Man, it's going to be crazy. The trophies he has planned for this year are pretty freaking awesome. And guys, PRI Show 2025 Drag and Drive Awards Thursday. I know Thursday's probably not the most attended day of the event, but I tell you, I like to get it done and get it out of the way because I'm super anxious about this every year. So room 235, it will be a new room for us this year. This will be our third time to do this, third different room that we'll be in, but we've bumped it up for a little more space because we're going to be shooting for around 100 people. We've been, the first year was like 40, then it was like 70, and then now I figure we're going to be in the 100, something like that. So it's going to be awesome. December 11th, 11 a.m., room 235 at PRI. If you guys aren't there, we will be live streaming it here on the channel, but obviously if you can make it work, you got to come up and do that. All right, so I see folks in here making comments. I saw one there a minute ago. Carl, was that talking about a loan? Oh, I thought he was talking about giving us a loan. I was in.
Yeah, right. Send some money over.
Yeah, right. We could use some of that. All right. Well, dude, the circuit. This has been a couple weeks in the making here. If you guys don't know, the circuit is our drag and drive event that we host every year. This is a crazy time. We've been really, the struggle is obviously with the work I do at Tulsa, I like to make it the host because obviously I'm there, it can help the track. And, anytime we can do that, the better. So in that kind of limits me on my other tracks that I can use because you want it to be within a location that is close enough, right? So as we do all that, I start looking at all the stuff. There's only a few tracks that are around that. And one of those had recently closed. And that other one was my plan the whole time. And then it closed. So that became another level of stress. And obviously that's what kind of goes on. So, we end up working it out. They open back up, and the announcement tonight is the Circuit 2026 will be held April 30th through May 3rd, hosting at Tulsa Raceway Park. Thunder Valley Raceway Park in Oklahoma City will be your midpoint and our racer party point. And then we'll go back to Tulsa on Sunday. Dude, I'm so pumped about this. This is a completely new direction for us to go. We have never been west with it, and it allows us to go along Route 66 during 2026, which is the 100th anniversary of Route 66.
Yeah, that's going to be cool.
Yeah, this one's going to be a bit wild, man. Early tech and pre-party April 30th, like we've talked about. In the past, we're going to do that. Racing May 1st through 3rd. We'll start in the morning on Friday. I think it's probably the best way to do it. And then let everybody kind of get on their way in the afternoon, cruising down Route 66. I think that weekend is going to be crazy. The weather could be absolutely gorgeous if it's anything like it's been this year. I am going to work on a backup date as a precaution early on, so that way as people put in their time off for the year, they can plan on that in case we do have a rain out. I want to be as prepared as we possibly can. That's one thing about regional events is, it's not like a week-long deal to where you can go in there and just have a rain day 2 days. You have a rain day 2 days on a weekend deal, and it kind of hurts it a little bit. So we'll have a backup date, and currently the registration date is going to be set for January 17th. So that way we don't need to be too early. And if you go into December, you really get into the mess of Christmas and all that kind of stuff. So anyways, I'm excited. Early registration will be open obviously the day before, and we'll go through all that as time comes on. So the Circuit 2026, April 30th through May 1st. What's Danny saying? Oh, don't stop at the movie. Yeah, we're not doing that. That's a different direction. And if we do stop at I think there's a TP drive-in. We would talk to them plenty ahead of time. I think that's really what some of the stuff runs into is there's not a lot of conversation within the promoters and route stops. So we tried to really work around that this year. But dude, while we're on the topic of the circuit, we had the Blue Whale as a route stop this year, and they are fixing to start completely remodeling the Blue Whale starting like within the next couple days.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they're building a complete park and all that kind of stuff. So they're keeping the big Blue Whale part, but they're building out an entire park, concessions, all this kind of stuff, which would be perfect. I think they were supposed to start a long time ago, but didn't get the funding in time. So now it's going to be a mad thrash throughout the winter to get it done before the craziest year of Route 66 history. I think it's going to be nuts.
Yeah, it's going to be wild. Should be good. Yeah. I'm excited.
Yeah. Bring it on, right? All right, sir. Let's move into some driven stuff. How about that?
All right. Driven Racing Oil is the performance engine oil that can do it all. GP1 is the ultimate oil for any race or performance application, whether launching hard at the drag strip, enduring the extreme heat of off-road and circle track, or pushing limits in top field drag boats and demo derbies. Winning racers choose GP1. It's compatible with engines from classic hot rods to cutting-edge race machines. GP1's unique surface cling and high zinc formulation ensures superior wear protection, particularly for those flat tappet camshafts, while also solving issues like cylinder washout with methanol and ethanol fuels. It's crafted from the legendary Bradford, Pennsylvania base oil, then enhanced with state-of-the-art additive packages. GP1 offers the best in protection and performance. And you know the deal, drivenracingoil.com is where you can go to pick up your oil or any other products that they offer. And then Facebook and Instagram at Driven Racing Oil is where you can see what events they're going to be going to, and maybe you can meet up with them there, talk to them in person, pick up products there as well.
Yeah, and we'll have an idea of where they're going to be the next coming weeks and all that kind of stuff. So I'll talk to Bill and the team over there coming up. Dude, the last weekend was crazy. Like 3 huge regional events taking place. It looked like a ton of really cool stories that are going to come from that. And I'm going to cover that on the news on Saturday because we've got so many guests on tonight. So I didn't want to try and do all of that tonight with them and shorten up those times in the stories. So we'll be covering Cruise and Lose, I-57 Drag and Drive, and Dragway Rush this Saturday on the news. What's that? August 29th, 30th, something like that.
Yeah. Dates, times.
Yeah, right. Hey, Smoked Meats and Mini Trucks, another podcast, another automotive fun podcast. Those guys are awesome, and those guys are going to be at Mo Party as Tim Gorley and I drive from Tulsa to Maryland. So we may have to make a stop by Mo Party. I've never been to that event, so tell us what's going on after what's coming up next. Not what's going on after. What's coming up next.
Yep. Next, we have Drop the Hammer North Carolina. So this is going to be the first time for them to do one outside of Michigan, which is super cool. This is September 5th through 7th at Farmington Dragway.
Yeah, and that same weekend, different part of the country, Rocky Mountain Race Weekend, the first time for Matt Frost to do a weekend event, which I'm so pumped about that. Pueblo Motorsports Park, September 5th through 7th.
You know, I was just in Colorado, and for some reason, I thought that was going on that weekend, and I almost drove by Pueblo because I'm like, man, even if I don't stop and we drive by, but I looked it up and realized it wasn't that weekend. But
yeah,
my brain was spinning like, if I can at least just drive down the road and catch some race car friends going by, it'll solve that itch. But yeah, pretty wild. I was right near there.
That's awesome. Well, John Ketch says he'll see you at race weekend. Man, I was hoping I can go. I'll be in Michigan that weekend. But maybe saying about Trevor Brandon and big shout out to John Ketch, won the 530 Index over at Streetcar Takeover this last weekend.
Yep.
Super cool.
And then
do it.
Next up, this one I'm pretty excited about just because that artwork has been done by myself, which was really cool. Super thankful for those guys to reach out and ask for help with that. I've said it before, but this event, Outlaw Armageddon, is really what got me into drag racing. I think it was Outlaw Armageddon 3 was the first one I went to, which would have been, 7 years ago? So 2018. So this one's really cool, and they're doing their first drag and drive class. So Outlaw Armageddon Drag and Drive is at Tulsa Raceway Park, which has been just killing it with drag and drive events this year, September 14th through 19th.
Did I wait? I have that wrong. Nope. 11 through 13th.
Yeah, I was going to say, wait, notes don't match the screen here. Yep, September 11th through 13th. Yep. And the drag and drive portion is going to be every morning of this event. So each morning they will be on the track, and it's going to be exciting because Outlaw Armageddon brings a huge crowd of drag racers in general, and let's hope this puts eyes on drag and drive to all of those people as well.
Yeah, I really think it's going to do that. And big shout out to Keith Haney, who just made a comment in here. He's at Yellow Bullet this weekend, up there racing pro mods against all those guys. Go up there, kick ass, boss. Got to see him today at lunch and talk about some of the plans for Tulsa Raceway Park 2026. A lot of cool stuff on the books there, getting ready for that stuff too. So big shout out to him. Yeah, I'm really excited about Outlaw Armageddon being at Tulsa because I think the fans there are going to come out in absolute droves. That was one of the topics we had today, was just the preparing for the next month at Tulsa, month and a half, because we've got Outlaw Armageddon, we've got a huge double divisional NHRA race, and then we've got the throwdown in T-Town that is also doing the dirt down. So it's the double down in T-Town. So it's going to be crazy. It's the craziest time ever. But Outlaw Armageddon really kicks off that month of just insanity at Tulsa Raceway Park.
Yep. Pretty awesome.
And then next up, Hot Rod Drag Week. So the plan as of right now is for Tim Gorley and I to drive to Outlaw Armageddon and be there all day Friday, all Friday night, and then we'll leave headed for Hot Rod Drag Week Saturday morning, and Drag Week starts Sunday morning with tech. So it's a 20-hour drive from Tulsa to Maryland. We're going to hit it as fast as we can. And then basically, Maryland International Raceway, September 14th through 19th, 20th anniversary of this event. I don't know what else to say about this. It's going to be crazy.
Yeah.
It's going to be a crazy event. I did see the other day, Scott Franks, I want to give a big shout out to him. He is doing an 1150 trophy. So the closest to 1150 without going under is going to win this trophy. So not somebody that just, has a bad day and is a fast car that goes slow. This is going to be somebody that like really is trying for an 1150. I love this idea. I said it in the post. I think this is really, really cool because if you're slower than, 1060, probably, you really have no chance at anything. You don't, if you're 1060 and quicker, you can generally kind of get into the top 32 in the Street Machine Eliminator class. So this is going to really open up that to a lot of people. And, it's going to get those guys that maybe run 11s. Now they're like, hey, can I slow it down a little bit and actually take home this custom made trophy?
Yeah, that's going to be pretty sweet.
Yep. Chris Badger, you guys are wild. Yes, sir, we are wild. I'm ready. And Mike and you're saying you'll see you there, man. I can't wait to hang out with him.
And then up next after Hot Rod Drag Week, we have Redwood Rally, Medford Drag Strip. That's going to be September 22nd through 27th. And Jesse Fox is going to be driving there, I'm guessing.
Yeah, so he's going to leave Drag Week with us as soon as the racing's done, and he is bombing Benny the Volvo all the way across the country. 3G video, you got to go watch it. Him and I've been talking about ideas for live stream opportunities while he's driving.
Yeah, that man is wild. He is all over the place.
Yeah, that is for sure. And then that's September 22nd through 27th, which I think you said. Medford Drag Strip. This is one that's on my list for 2026. I feel like we haven't been there yet. We may need to go out or divide and conquer or something. I don't know, but this one's definitely on my list for next year. And then next up is Plates and 28s, but I couldn't find a flyer for it. It's still on the Edgewater Sports Park page on their schedule, but I can't find an event or any flyer about it or anything like that. But Plates and 28s is earlier in the year was hosted by Bill Hoskinson, the Old Man's Garage. They did like a 150-mile drive, came back and heads up race, kind of similar format to King of the Open Road. This one here's a 3-day event, music, all kinds of stuff. It's in with like Lowered and Lifted or something like that. But Plates and 28s, I mean, it's an upcoming, obviously a big event. I think they had, 80 or 100 people, something like that, participate in it last year or earlier this year. And so we'll see. I don't know. As we get more info, I will update that.
Yeah. Sweet. And then we have One Guy's Garage Drag Weekend, which has been going on for a long time. What was it, like 10 years or something?
Yeah. This will be the 10th year.
Yep. So big deal there. This one is local to me. This one is Byron Dragway, September 26th and 27th, and Tri-State Raceway the 28th. So September 26th through 28th. Going to be pretty cool. They're doing 2 days at Byron, which is a little different than what we see on most events.
Yeah, I don't know what Chad's talking about there with it's a Google Doc in their about page, maybe about the Plates and 28s. Mm-hmm. Hey, Paul Snyder talking about the Cracker Barrel in here.
Yeah.
Hey, Uncle Herschel's back. They're reverting it back.
Yeah, he said that's the Plates and 28 stuff there.
Yeah, perfect. I'll have to look it up. And the folks that are on Facebook will be able to see that link there. Yeah, lots of stuff coming up, dude. Lots of stuff. Rovic saying Redwood and Montana would be awesome to do. That's my plan. I mean, I want to hit stuff that we haven't done before next year and see some other stuff, meet new people, all that kind of stuff that we do. Lots of events, 51 events on the list so far for 2020. It's just crazy. I've started building out the 2026 schedule as well with the events I know that are on there. But I'll have to turn it on after this because I had the circuit dates and stuff in there, and I didn't want to turn it on ahead of time. So the 2026 calendar will begin to drop as soon as we get off of this tonight. So
sweet.
Mm-hmm. Oh, hey, let's give Colt Beck a shout out real quick. October 4th, Tulsa Raceway Park, the Midnight Drags. Going to be a huge race, but also a Send It Burnout Series kickoff. This is the first event they'll do right there at Tulsa Raceway Park. This can be a big deal, especially for Colt. I'm excited for him to be part of this and all that. So,
oh, absolutely.
Yeah, Paul asking if we take live calls. We do not take live calls during this, and Paul's never done a Dragon Drive, so you're out, buddy. But we're working on something in your part of the country, so don't go too far. All right. Let's see what else we got going on. I just want to give a big shout out. Driven, thank you for the hat. Eric, I haven't sent your hat from Driven yet, but it is on its way ASAP. Probably tomorrow. I think I'm going to try and get a bunch of stuff out. I've got a few things I got to ship for some folks like Clint Sadowski. I've got some shirts on the way for him. So anyways, big stuff going on, man. It's crazy. 51 events. I would have never thought there'd be that many events when we started doing this in 2022.
Right. I mean, if you're picking up shirts soon, you can always send the hat with the shirts too.
Yeah, I'm hoping. I'm hoping those will be here Monday. So I've already started. I guess I can just do that. I mean, it's just a couple of days.
Right.
Save that $6.
No kidding.
Just ship it all in that same box that Driven sent the hat in. So, all right, well, sweet. Well, let's kind of get into this tonight. I'm really excited about tonight. We're going to be talking to some 850 guys, but this first segment is we're going to kind of introduce you to these guys and tell you who they are, where they're from, what they drive, all that kind of stuff. So this segment is brought to you by J-Wire Solutions. You guys are going to get to meet Jay Blanchard here in just a moment. J-Wire Solutions is your expert car and marine wiring solutions you can trust. J-Wire Solutions can wire and plumb your hot rod, race car, drag and drive car, drag boat, dude, they did sand rail, whatever, they can do it. Plus they offer products that make your driving experience better, like the blinker module that is a must for all drag and drive cars, especially the ones that you wire yourself at home. The module will allow your rear turn signals to function while the brake pedal is applied, just like your stock daily driver does. These aftermarket harnesses typically don't do that, but you got to have headlights, blinkers, and tail lights on a drag and drive. So this is kind of a deal you got to have. So you can find that at jwiresolutions.com. All right. Well, let's bring these guys in. I want to kind of bring them in one at a time, and then we'll have them all on the screen the rest of the show. So first up, Mr. Mark Campbell in here. Mark pulling double duty tonight. So he's also a competitive 850 racer, but then also he works at Deechworks. So we're going to be able to kind of like both sides of your head here because I don't know. I'm going to start talking. You tell us who you are, what you do, and what you drive.
Obviously, Mark Campbell. Car is a 95 Mustang, or 94 technically, I guess, SN95 car. There it is. Ford haters will be really happy to know that it's got an LS in it. So, pretty basic combination. We'll talk, I'm sure, more about it a little bit later, but twin turbo LS. Hydraulic roller cam, just a pretty basic engine with some decent parts in it, obviously, to make it live. But it's a pretty solid piece. Runs 850s and also goes a whole lot faster than that too. Which we'll maybe talk about that a little bit later. I've been actually squeezing on it a little bit the last little while and making it go faster, so that's been kind of fun too to do that. So, and then as far as the Deechworks side of things, I'm the director of sales there at Deechworks, and we're definitely pretty excited to support what you guys are doing here. Obviously, we're all car guys there and girls, and just love racing and love to support whatever we can. So thank you for having me on the show.
Yeah, you guys have been great, man. It's I think we've probably leaned on you a little more than we've leaned on some of the other folks, except maybe Ryan at Performable. We've picked his brain a little bit with the transmission stuff. So
love to help whatever we can do.
All right. Well, next up, let's bring on Dustin and Steve Trance, because these guys are the first folks in this grouping here that have been 8500 on Drag Week. So, guys, tell us what's going on. Tell us who you are, what you do, and then let's talk about the car.
All right, I'm Steve Trance. I'm Dustin's father, of course. I own the car that the both of us have partnered on and done quite a few drag and drives with. It's a 2005 Mustang with the standard LS4 Delete kit in it. It's only done drag and drives, and we really haven't done much more than 850 racing with it, but had a little bit of success with it.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Dustin, dude, you're all over the place, man.
What's that? Yeah, I'm Dustin. I drive the car, work on it with him, and help tune it, and just getting ready.
Yeah. Did he say you're in Atlanta?
Yeah, I'm at Atlanta. I'm doing some work training, so I'm in a hotel right now.
I got you. Yeah. Moved to Kentucky, is that right? From
South Carolina.
South Carolina. Yeah.
Yep.
Man, that's awesome. How has that been with the car? Like, where does the car stay? Who works on the car? All that kind of stuff.
The car's in my shop in Jupiter, Florida, and I pretty much do all the work on it. But I'm retired, so I've got the time to take care of this thing. And it's a great father and son thing. We get together a couple times a year. I'll meet him somewhere, and we take off and go to a racetrack. And he's a natural at driving this thing. He's been driving cars for me since he was 8 years old. So he really picks up stuff fast and never forgets it. So it's easy. We hit the track and he's ready to rock and roll, even if he hasn't driven it for a few months. Except when we went to test at Darlington. It was at Darlington. It was dark.
Oh God.
Oh God, yeah. We went to Darlington back in May on the way to Rockingham, and he made a pass down through there, and he lifted. And he came back. I said, "What happened?" He goes, "There's no lights down there."
There's no lights at that shutoff.
He rolled into the top end, and there was no lights. But came back around.
Dangerous.
Yeah, came back around and gave me a good pass. But now
they have one of those little driveway lights at the end of the wall that lights up for about 10 seconds and then goes out.
Yeah.
Oh man.
So you can turn around.
That don't work.
We have a good time. He's a pretty accomplished racer. He's raced karts and he's raced Daytona. Got a track championship and all that kind of stuff. So he does a lot. He's been drifting cars for years. He's pretty good at it. But this car, this is kind of something I built back in 2016. And we kind of go, for a while we were able to work on it together. But, he's got his life. And so now we make it a get together.
That's awesome. That's really cool. Well, let's bring on the boys. Oh, yeah, I see Jay didn't sit down there. Let's bring on Fast Act Racing, which is Brian Acton, who's on the left side of the screen in the gray shirt, and then Jay Blanchard, owner of J-Wire Solutions. They're on the right side in the red shirt. So, gentlemen, what's up?
Hi. Hey, guys.
Man, you guys have probably been on as much as anyone else on here. I like to pick Jay's brain quite a bit. Brian is kind of my hero. I fangirl pretty hard over him. He's and then he gave me a ride in the car. Dangerous, bro. Dangerous. Now I need that kind of power. But introduce
I was
yourself.
on episode 0.
Yeah, dude, it's crazy.
Yeah. Wow. Yes.
Yeah. All right. Well, tell us what's going on. Tell us what Fast Act Racing is, and then we'll talk about the car.
Go ahead, Jay. You're a better talker than me.
So Brian owns this 70 Nova for 21 or 22 years now, I think.
Yep, 22.
And him and I got together. He was a customer of mine at the time, and that's like the best picture of the car ever. So we got together when Brian was a customer of mine, and we're best friends now. He was best man at my wedding here 4 years ago now, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna do this drag and drive thing, and this is what I'm trying to do, and trying to be competitive here, and all that kind of stuff." And we've got a nucleus of kind of LS people around us, and we're very fortunate for that. I'm fortunate for that as both a business owner and a pseudo of this hot rod. So it's the only Chevy powered Chevy on the show tonight. I want to point that out, and it's on the most archaic leaf springs ever. And it seems to work. So,
well, I joked with Mark and Steve before the show. I was like, man, everybody on here is Turbo LS. Like, I should have,
There's a theme for sure.
Yeah,
carry on.
Small block Ford, Turbo Ford, but he's one of the only guys I know that's been that kind of speed with anything other than a Turbo LS.
There's like I think we've talked a little bit about Cal Hayward running Super Street small block power adder back. He held the record for quite a while, and then his engine has since moved on into another Ford-powered Ford that, I mean, Aaron's been 424 to the 8th with that thing. In like an SN95, still has power windows, power locks, but it's 25 dot whatever chassis. So there's
Tim Flanders comes to mind.
Yeah, and Flanders has been 792 maybe with his.
Yep, and that's Coyote powered.
Turbo Coyote.
So he's one of the few. Yep.
Yeah, definitely. Turbo LS seems to kind of be the powertrain of the moment for that. I mean, obviously, you guys know your stuff. Having a car for a while helps kind of get the suspension settings and all that kind of stuff worked through. But let's talk setups on the car just real quick, and then like turbo size is really kind of cubic inch, and then turbo size is kind of what I'm driving at.
Are we going in the same order we went before?
Probably start with Mark, and then maybe kind of across zigzag.
Yeah, you bet. Well, definitely, when I was building mine, to say that I built an LS because I had all the parts is the truth. I had probably 3/4 of the engine sitting in my garage even before I had the car. So, but yeah, coming down to the engine specs, what I really tried to do was, figure out, of course, how much power the car is going to need to go, 850s. And I also had future thoughts in my brain about, trying to go faster later. But I really tried hard to size, the cubic inches, the compression ratio, the cylinder head, and the camshaft and the turbos all to be really optimized at, in that 1200 horsepower range, crankshaft horsepower range. And spent a lot of time talking turbos and stuff like that with the guy that did the turbos for me. Unfortunately, he's not around anymore. But we just really spent a lot of time looking at compressor maps, and obviously at the time I was at Comp Cams, and so we worked a lot on the camshaft and things like that to really try and optimize the engine so that it was super happy in that, basically about 15 pounds of boost. I mean, that's usually maybe a little more, maybe a little less to run 850s with the way the car is set up, but really tried to optimize the car around that as much as we possibly could. And just so that it would repeat over and over. We didn't have to, push it really hard to do that. And that's kind of the route that I took. And of course, then trying to, put okay, we got to drive this thing 1,000 miles. And, so we got to have a valve spring that's going to live. We got to have, a camshaft that is not going to beat the valve train up. And then you got to think about gear ratios. Okay. You don't want to cruise the thing down the highway at 3,500 RPM all day long either. So, I ended up going with 3-speed in my car because I got a super low rear gear in the car. It's like a 330 rear gear, but with the first gear ratio in a turbo 400 and that 330, the starting line ratio is just about perfect for what I wanted. So it worked out great. And that was kind of how I went about it. We did put a gear vendors in the car after. Just didn't really change much. Knocked a few RPM out of it, obviously cruising down the road, but honestly, I think I could go either way with or without the gear vendors. But that was kind of my approach to building the drivetrain in the car, at least anyways.
Interesting. Sorry, and I may have missed it there. What size turbo?
Twin 72s.
Twin 72s.
Yeah. So fairly small exhaust housing on them, actually, just to get them to spool real quick. And we kind of did a couple things with the compressor wheel and stuff like that to get it so that we were really in a sweet spot in the compressor map, at 15 pounds. I mean, I've since run the car and made, we've been up like 25, 26 pounds on it and gone a whole lot faster than the 850s or 540-ish or whatever in the 8th mile. But that was really the goal with the thing, is to make good power with little effort.
Right. And I think that's kind of a theme between everybody here, is like, you've almost got to do that. You've got to have power on tap in case the track's not there. We can talk about it. Steve, Dustin, what's the setup in y'all's?
All right. This is a 419-inch LS motor, 11.5 to 1 compression, which is pretty high. Some of these guys don't run that much into turbo cars, but I built this motor basically for low RPM performance. The thing only runs like 6,600 running through the traps on an 850 pass. It's a real truck engine. And I do all my own motor work. I have a background in building Winston Cup motors from some years back. And so know a little bit about fitting these things together, putting them together. But the turbo stuff was fairly new to us. We built a couple of other cars with turbos, and we kind of knew a little bit about it. But this car started out NA. We actually ran the first 2 drag weeks with the car NA, and I think we had a podium finish in 18, and 19, I think we finished 5th in Super Street. They put us in Super Street because we had a chin spoiler on it back then. And then in 2019, Dustin said, we got to go faster. This NA stuff is no fun. So literally in like 3 months, converted the car over to a turbo. The downside of what we were doing is we had a power glide in the car, and it didn't like it. We had to push the motor really hard to get the number. And so we ran the first drag week in 2019 with a turbo combination. And we kind of went just to figure out what we were going to do with the car from there. We were new to the class. I think we finished 5th that year, which was respectable for 2 guys that had never done it before. And our first turbo, high horsepower drag car effort, we did pretty good. Ran every mile. Car was flawless, and gave Dustin some good seat time. I came back the next year, of course, in 21. We missed 20, but 21, and got pretty serious about it. It's an E85 motor. There's really nothing exotic about it. It's a Texas Speed sleeve block, 5.3 block. The bottom end is Lenati with the CP pistons. I did put a set of the Trick Flow 255 heads on. I think in 21 we added those. Runs a Turbo 400 with a lot of Sonax parts in it. This car was the test bed car for the Sonax module back in 2021. We had a gear vendors on the car, but took it off. It really wasn't much of a benefit for us. I'm not bashing gear vendors, but put a 325 gear in the car. It'll run 65, 70, which is really all you need in drag week. You hear a lot of guys talking about having to run 89 miles an hour. You don't need to. You're not on any highways long enough to bother with that. And the car picked up 2/10 without the gear vendors on it. Partly weight, partly drag. So we're pretty happy with that part of it. Like I say, 325 gear just gets it done.
Interesting. And turbo size again? Sorry.
It's an 88. 88 104 on the exhaust side. And that's our car. I'm confident if we change the converter in the car, it'll run high sevens with no problem. But we chose a converter that we chose because we want to run the index stuff. I'm an old bracket racer. And I've got a piece in there that works, but it can't take the power that you would have to put in it to run a 7. We tried it, we pushed it, and once you get down to in the teens, 18s, it's a little bit too much on the converter. So, but it gets there with no problem. A converter swap, and I think we'd be 780s, 790s with no problem with this car.
Wow!
But we choose to run the 850 stuff. It's easy on parts. It's easy on my wallet. We don't race as much as a lot of these guys do. We don't do a lot. So, we have to focus on something, and this was our focus.
Yeah. Well, I dig it. Y'all know that. This is, again, one of my favorite classes in all of this stuff, just because these cars, to me, I mean, you guys saw the photos of them. It's that car could be parked in a parking lot and could look like every other car out there. It's not something that's crazy.
Brian, I built this car, put this car together to be responsive more than anything else. It responds to the changes that we put into it, which is really what's our, that's kind of our secret is everything we do to the car, we know what it'll do, and it does it consistently every day in and out.
That's awesome. Brian and Jay, talk to us.
So the Nova is Dana 60 Outback with 354 gears. I run a Power Glide with a PTC converter. So we went the 2-speed route, and then no gear vendors or anything. We just run a little taller tire on the street to give us a little better ratio. So, we can cruise at 70, no problem, around 2,900 RPM, which is fine. And, you're not on the highway the whole time. So, but we've been, an hour or more just cruising down the highway, and everything's happy. Engine wise, it's a Baker built 5.3. So it's just over enough to clean the cylinders up. It might be 10 over.
Yeah. Might be 330 inches maybe or something.
But, and then it's got all forged internals, center counterweight crank, billet, Oliver rods, and then trick flow heads. And Baker designs their own cams, which is kind of their voodoo. I don't even know the cam specs of the car. I just, I trust
it just works.
I trust TJ. And, he tells us what he's going to make, and it always has worked. So that's kind of something they keep close to their, closely guarded, and I respect that. So,
and they're tight with the guys at Comp. I think Mark, I'm not sure who TJ's counterpart is there, but I mean Comp does all the grinds for him. So, but he's tweaking on stuff, and I mean this camshaft we picked up somewhere in the neighborhood of 60 to 80 horsepower with the camshaft change we made over the winter. At like in the 22 to 23 pound of boost range on the dyno. And so I'm like, what are we going to call this one, TJ? Because he calls everything by hairband names. He's like, we're going to call this one FA. And I'm like, what's FA? And he's like, Fast Act. And I'm like, all right, cool. So it's like the first non-hairband camshaft name that's come out of Baker in the last probably 7 years or something.
Yeah.
But
wow.
And then, yeah. That's why I stole that one.
Yeah, but it just runs on E85 like most everybody. We don't switch fuels or anything. We just find E85 along the route and have never had to mess around with draining the gas tank or putting pump gas in it. We could. It has a flex fuel sensor, but we don't want to. We don't want to have to drain the tank unless we're in a complete dire situation. So we have been fortunate to keep it on E85 the whole time. And then Borg, I got a Borg 91 millimeter turbo.
So big boy.
Yep, 102 exhaust. Yep, on the exhaust side.
Interesting. So you guys won a Gear Vendors last year or this year? Last year at Six Summer. Yeah. Any reason didn't put it on there?
We talked about it a couple times and just didn't think that with the work and amount of work it would take to add it in changing drive shafts and stuff that it was gonna
and it adds weight.
Yeah. So and there's going to be some costs involved, obviously, and some modifications. So. And I don't really want to go to any lower gear ratio in the rear. I don't have a desire to go to a 390 or anything that would, change my starting line ratio. I have a 1.8 first gear in the Glide, and then with the 354, that's kind of the starting line ratio that works for us. So, and it does fine down the road. I mean, we've worked really hard on the coolant. Sorry about that. We're out to keep people going by outside, but. Yeah, so that was kind of at the weight and just, adding another mechanical piece in the pipeline that has to be maintenanced and serviced and could potentially be a failure point at some point. I mean, they hold up pretty well, but it's one more complexity to your setup.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and then, just the entire learning process behind it. Now everything has changed. You've added, I'm sure they're not 100 pounds, 120 pounds, something like that, but, it's right in the middle and all that. So, but I do want to give a shout out to Baker Engineering. They've come on board for the Circuit 2026 with the Baker Bounty. Brian Acton's won the street race power rider class at the circuit 3 years in a row, which means he's the quickest quarter-mile car at the circuit, which means he's on the shirts. This will be the third year in a row he's been on the shirts. So big shout out to Baker for putting up $1,000 to somebody who can knock him off. Or, if he goes down and takes down everybody else, he gets that one. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah, looking forward to that.
Yeah, appreciate them for doing that. That's a big deal, man. I really never would have thought you'd be out there front, but I don't know anybody else that's coming to the circuit that's competed with you yet. So it's pretty awesome. But
yeah, I had a couple of guys call me out in the hotel parking lot this year, and I don't even know who they were. But I didn't.
They called him out by name. I wasn't there, but I've heard the stories. Yeah. It's like, Brian, I'm coming for you, and he's like, I have no idea who this guy is.
Okay.
Probably a distant friend on Facebook or something because they were 26 mutual friends with somebody else.
Yeah, but
that's awesome.
But he wasn't the guy that won second, so I don't know what car he was on. He could have just been bullshit. You know, he could have just had an 11. I don't know, but yeah,
everybody's a big talker in the parking lot.
Yeah, especially after a couple of parking lot beers.
Yeah.
Yes.
Everybody's big time. Yeah. I see Dustin Peterson in here saying last year too. Yeah. 3 years in a row, man. It's crazy. Dustin won our 650 index last year, I think, in his Cougar. So pretty cool, man. All right. Well, that's kind of the end of the topics I got there. I do want to give a shout out to Dean Anderson, who is Gen 1 small block Chevrolet. Pretty awesome. In there, you don't see that very often. Is Rick Steinke still Gen 1? Does anybody know?
Pretty
Yeah.
sure. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he is.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
Twin turbo.
I believe
Twin turbo.
Twin. Yeah.
yeah, that's pretty cool. He's one of the other guys we're going to talk about in this next segment, which is basically kind of some history, some times you guys ran, averages, struggles, wins. This next segment's going to be a real fun one. So let's jump into it right now. Again, hey, shout out to Jaguar Solutions for being a part of the program here at Drag Drive Repeat. We appreciate them, and not only because they're a sponsor and do all the stuff there, but also because Jay is like a wealth of knowledge, and I'm sure he hates talking to me all the time. But that's the way it goes in life, right?
No, we're good.
All right, well, let's move on to the Molly segment here. Mr. Eric, if you want to hit that one up for us, sir.
All right, racers and high performance enthusiasts, are you ready to start your next engine build? If so, there is no better time than right now to check out the Molly Motorsports all-in-one Power Pack Piston Kit. With over 1,200 applications, these kits come complete with pistons, rings, wrist pins, and clips, all designed to work together. Molly Motorsports Power Pack Piston Kits take out all of the guesswork. So no more trying to determine if a piston will need this ring to work with a certain cylinder size. Molly Motorsports did all that engineering so that you can get to the part that matters, which is building a power plant that leads you to victory lane. Visit mollymotorsports.com for more details. And for our podcast listeners, Molly is spelled M-A-H-L-E. All right. So with that, we're going to go into our next topics, and we are going to start with what events you have attended. So we'll kind of go in the same order that we have been doing.
I guess that's me. So
Yep, we'll start with you, Mark.
for the big drag and drive stuff, obviously I did Hot Rod Drag Week twice in 2022 and 2023. Other than that, for drag and drives, I really haven't done any of the big events. I have put a gazillion miles on the car, quite honestly, driving it. I pretty much, not always, but most of the time I drive it to the track, even if I'm going to do something else. Recently I've been doing a bunch of like the 530, like the little gangster stuff, and Mean Street. That's pretty popular around here. Holly Springs actually has a pretty nice Mean Street program. So that's like a 510 to 530 index type deal. So you pull up into the lanes, draw a card out of the hat, and you run 510 to 530. That's what you got to run all week. So we've done that a bunch of times, where drive it to the track, run a 520 a whole bunch of times, and drive it home. And usually makes some of the race car guys upset, because they're all pulling their stuff in big trucks and trailers, and they got tube chassis cars and whatever running 520s or 30s, and I drive in there with a car on pump gas and race them. So it's kind of fun,
Yeah, there's nothing better than that.
Exactly.
There has to be nothing better than that.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, definitely been doing that a bunch, and really trying to, when we showed up to Drag Week in 2022, the car literally had, I think, 4 or 5 eighth-mile passes on it. So, I mean, and it was a brand new car that we built. I mean, in, I think, October of 2021, the car showed up on my driveway as a shell. I mean, it was basically a bare chassis shell, and I built the whole car in my garage by myself, engine, everything like that, and made a couple passes at Holly Springs in the 8th mile, had a boost controller issue, came back, fixed it, went back out a couple weeks later, thought we got it dialed in pretty good to run an 850 something. I think it went 545 in the 8th or whatever. So first day of drag week, we showed up. It was the first quarter mile pass that we had made. It was in St. Louis, and it went 858. So it was like, okay, it's pretty close. So we just shut it down for the day, and the next day we came out, and I made a couple of strokes on the keyboard and ran it out the back door, and she went a 50 with a 5, I think. So I mean, that was pretty close. We packed up and left and went to the next racetrack. So, but certainly these cars. I mean, now I've got a lot of runs on the car, and I can dial in the thing pretty tight. I mean, 2 to 3 thou usually. I mean, if it goes like we've run a ton of like 520 stuff, and I mean, if it goes out and runs a 520 with a 5 or something like that, I can usually dial it up to a 520 with an O or a 520 with a 1 with a couple of tweaks on the boost controller, a little bit of ignition timing or something like that. So it's definitely an art for sure. And I mean, the Trances have showed us how to do it really well for sure. I mean, what they did at Hot Rod Drag Week a few times, I'm 50 with a O, several times, and a 50 average or whatever is pretty impressive to say the least. I mean, people see it happen and they don't understand how hard that really is to do it, and I'm certainly not on that level, but I can get my car dialed in pretty tight now for sure, and probably going to head back out to another drag and drive or so in the next couple of years here. Hopefully, do a few more. I was actually, when you said the circuit dates and where it starts and stops, I was like, well, I work in Oklahoma City, so that makes a lot of sense to probably. I think there's a good chance we might show up to that. So don't know if we'll run the 850 deal or if we'll maybe run the small tire 8-mile deal, but we'll probably show up to that.
Yeah, we are definitely going to be involving Deechworks in the planning for the circuit, because I mean, if we're going to Thunder Valley, we got you guys are right there.
30 minutes from us, absolutely.
Yeah.
So
But, yes, we'll be definitely stopping by there.
Gotcha. But yeah, I mean, what I've been running with my car lately is a little bit faster stuff, but definitely, the car will go out and we can dial that thing in within. I mean, if I miss the number by 100th or more, I'm mad at myself, or something happened, So it's pretty cool to be able to do that. That's for sure.
Man,
with a car that you drive there and drive home.
Right. The event I have as your quickest was Drag Week 22 with an 853 average, I think. Yeah. I think that came day 3 or 4. You had a turbo down or something, right? I can't remember what you were doing. Something in the parking lot.
Day 2, actually. We ran St. Louis, and then we ran Indy. We ran 50s on both those days, and then when we left Indy, we started realizing that the intercooler maybe had some oil in it, but we weren't sure exactly where it was coming from and whatever. Anyways, we made our pass on day 3, and it looked like a diesel truck going down the racetrack, and realized that half the intercooler was full of oil. And so anyways, we kind of band-aided it up, and we made it through the rest of the week and still ran pretty good, but definitely had a little bit of a challenging time there. Basically drove the car, we unhooked all the intercooler pipes and stuff like that, and just drove with the turbos blowing into atmosphere basically, and just so that it wouldn't pump oil into the intercooler, and we made it. We still, like I said, had a 53 average or whatever, and that day I think was maybe one of our worst runs that we had made. I think we went a 55 or a 56 that day. And I was going to run it again, but I was nervous that there was other things wrong, and so we didn't run it that day. And so we probably could have tightened up the average a little bit if we would have run it again, but we didn't. So
2022 is a pretty good day at Byron Dragway at Hot Rod Drag Week. Wasn't it, Steve and Dustin?
Yep.
Run to some of the events you guys have done, because y'all have done several.
We've done, I was just doing the numbers here, so I kind of forgot after all these years. We've done 9 drag and drive events, 7 are drag weeks. We did Sick Week one year in 2022, I think it was. And last year we did Street and Yeet in Dustin's twin turbo F-150. But out of the 9 drag and drives, we have 6 podiums, and 3 of those are class wins. So had a pretty good bit of luck.
I would say
It's
so.
more than luck.
And we've run a lot of different things. I mean, in 2012 we had an NA Malibu with a big LS motor in it that ran in Super Street small block power adder. We finished second to Jeff McConnell there. We did NA stuff for the next couple of years with the Mustang, and we did okay. I think we did a third in 18 and a fifth in 16 and a third in 18. And then went turbo with the car from there. His truck spoiled us at Street and Yeet, though. I got to tell you, there's nothing like air conditioning and and it's got full suspension. It's a fast truck, but it's so comfortable. And you just throw your stuff in it and go and hit the road. But yeah, so you asked about Byron. Yeah, we were on an 8.500 on the second pass, I think it was there. And normally, the drag, you hear a lot about us having to make all these passes, and some of it's true, some of it's not, and I know Brian knows this as well. You got to keep making passes till you get the number. But typically we would run 18 to 20 something passes in an event. And in 23, we only ran 13 passes, I think it was, to get a 5.0 average in every. And I'll be honest with everybody here. I mean, I worked on the car quite a bit, did a bunch of stuff to make it really responsive to the tune-up. And there were days when we were 600 off. I'd make a small adjustment to the boost down track, and it would run the number. So that whole week, the only changes we made were to the dome pressure after 2 seconds. We never touched the rest of the car, other than resetting the shocks and getting it ready for the track. It just kind of amazed me as how responsive the car actually was, because there were days we'd roll in there and we'd run like a 600 or 700 off. And Dustin's the voice of reason a lot of times, because if I did what I would do, what I want to do, we'd always get on the other side of the number. So we always look at each other, and he's got his phone out with the weather, and we're making guesses, and it seems to work out good for us. It's a good team.
Yeah, that is one of the hardest parts about this. Is like literally you can't turn in something faster. That's kind of what I like about Street Meet, the way they set stuff up. Is like I think one of their classes, their DYO, you can run under and over, and like you're just trying to land on the right number or something like that. I can't remember how it's set up, but Drag Week's not like that. Drag Week's like 850 or slower.
A lot of guys don't realize that's the 50. That really hurts us as a group trying to do this. If we're running brackets, you can win brackets running under. I've done it hundreds of times. You can do index racing. You can run under because they only have a cap, and the other guy will run under, and it's just who gets there first and plays it at the stripe. But trying to get to the 850 number, we're at a big handicap because we can only get it on one side. We were in Street Meet, or not Street Meet, but in what was the race in Florida? Sick Week in 22, and we were battling with Aaron, and we were right there with him, and he pulled out and ran a perfect number. We were right behind him in the stage lanes. We pulled out and ran a 499. It was like, and then of course it's Gainesville. We had to come back in the afternoon, and Gainesville's crap in the afternoons. And I think we made 7 passes that day. And kept running a 52, changed the tune-up, a 52, a chip. It was like every time we added power, it would take that much out. And we didn't want to go on the other side of it because we didn't have a good ticket. Our ticket was a 499, but that was pretty much a heartbreaker too when we did that, because it would have been a lot closer had we run a 5.0 to win that class. I think we only lost by 9 thousandths or something that year. It was pretty tight.
And that's conversations like Jay and I have had on here, and we've talked about, like, if you have an off day, man, it's tough to overcome that, like, especially with like what we're going to see at Drag Week, the level of people that are coming to that, and Sick Week, especially too, that 850, they've got 2 850 classes that have like 40 people across the 2 classes. I mean, it's very, very competitive. That's what I like about it too. But the struggle is you end up with a 52. That's a hard number to turn in.
It's a hard number to turn in, but everything we did, we would just, we'd add some power to it, but the weather was just changing so fast and so bad, we couldn't quite get there, with the thing. So, anyway, it worked out. I mean, we felt we'll take a second. We're not happy about it, but we'll take it. We were there, we competed, and had a good time. So, I know we ran our most difficult race was in 21 against Rick. We were new at it, and I don't know how many passes we ran. I know we got to Indy. We both ran 7 each, trying to outdo each other, and it was quite a battle between us. I think the farthest we ever got away from each other during the whole week was 9 thousandths.
Man, that's crazy.
It was that tight all week, yeah. So I think we only won by 6 thousandths. It was tight.
On an average, that's across 5 days. I think that's what I like so much about this whole thing here is because it's a different track every day. Like, Indianapolis, the U.S. Nationals this weekend, those guys will, by the time they get to Saturday and Sunday, they'll have 10 passes on that track in every weather condition between here and Saturday to run. But, Drag and Drive didn't like that.
Right.
Jay, Brian, what some event history for you guys?
I get this segment. I've been taking notes on the welding table here. So we debuted the car in August of 2020, so almost 5 years ago, like within a couple weeks. It had a stock bottom end combo. It was kind of just put everything together, make sure all the hoses, lines, and all that kind of stuff all fit and worked. And so there was no drag week was like the only thing, and it got canceled in 2020. So since 21, when we started doing drag and drives, we've got 11 national events and 5 regional events. Jeez. We have 4 wins in those 4 wins in those 11 national events. Drag week, we've done 4 of those. We've podiumed twice. The 2 years we didn't podium was the first year in 21 with an SBE combo in it. And then the second time that we didn't podium was when we rebuilt the transmission at Bristol. We turned in like a 1080 that day or a 1050 that day. And then Midwest Drags, we DNF'd the first year because we blew the engine up. That was 2021. On our first pass, we lifted the cylinder head and all of the coolant pressure. So we DNF'd Midwest Drags the first year. But then the regional events, we've done the circuit 3 times, and we've done Drop the Hammer twice. We've won all of the regional events we've been to. So
that's badass.
Yeah, Midwest Drags 3 times, Sick Week twice, Sick Summer twice, Drag Week 4 times. That's our national event resume, and then a boatload of True Street stuff in there. I shouldn't say a boatload, 2 or 3 True Street events, and then there's some local 850 index racing that we do.
Import versus domestic.
Yeah, import versus domestics at Martin, and then there's a 850 deal at Mid-Michigan Motorplex that we've entered, and we've fared well. We've qualified really, really well actually at those events. And then, as Steve was saying, it's you're racing the guy next to you heads up, and it's the tree, and you're pushing each other under, and you're playing games at the stripe and all that kind of stuff. So, little spoiler alert, because I know you're going to talk about the 8,500 stuff. So, in non-drag and drive competition, we went 8,500 with a 3 to the 10,000th at import versus domestics 2 years ago, and then actually we just did that a couple weeks ago in testing. So I know that's kind of a precursor for the next segment, but yeah. So Midwest Drags, we went 50 with a 1 once and 50 with a 3 twice. We've been 50 with a 4. Sorry, again, I'm kind of totally stealing the next segment, but I know Steve talked about going 499. I said to Brian, and I think it kind of hits home. It's like, if you're not trying to go 499, like, you're not willing to go 8,500.
Yeah.
Like, you have to be willing to, like, rip your heart out of your chest if you want to try and go perfect. That's the brass tacks about it, right?
And in the last couple of years alone, 4 or 5 years ago, you could have like one bad day and maybe recover with a 52 or 53. You can't now.
Not happening now.
You have to turn in 50s. I think to have a chance to win a national event.
We went to like the 2018 results or 2017 results, and the second place person was like 885, and like third place was like 914.
Yeah.
This was 8 years ago.
Yeah.
Like, but it's so much easier to talk about.
Mid-51 or better. It's been a mid-51 or better since probably 22. You know.
Yeah.
For 21.
Yes.
You got to
exactly.
be a mid-51 or better.
You know, and Mark talked about
win
like making 1,200 horsepower at the crank. Like 7 years ago, I feel like 1,000 wheel horsepower was like this like echelon where it was like, oh my gosh, and now it's like, yeah, I put my combo together, only made 900, and it's like, yep, you're not good enough. You know, like the expectation is a 4-digit dyno sheet. You know, and so.
Yeah, Rovik saying 850 guys are badass. Very tough class. Can't wait to join the party.
Yeah, I wish there were a lot more joining the party. Bring them on.
Yes.
Well, sounds like Rovik's joining the party.
Yeah.
What's that?
This new setup of his, he'll be he'll be big block power adder with it. He won't be small block power adder like you just.
I hate
Derek.
Yeah.
499 runs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That man, so tough. So tough, and especially for guys that are doing it, and you've made this is like your third pass, and your first one's a 56 or something like that. Next one you come up and you're like, oh my God, we got to run a number we can turn in, and then you go under. Man, it's heartbreaking.
Yes.
I want to talk about the Bristol trip just real quick because I know it sucked to rebuild the trans and the pits, but listen, that I feel like that's part of it. That's a story that'll live on forever. And you guys had to hang out with Paul Powell and all the stuff like
I had him like ratchet strapped to that transmission. I don't know, like I don't feel like he was getting away until it was back together.
Yeah, pretty crazy trip that time. I know it sucked, but man, to rebuild a transmission right there in the parking lot, pretty bad. A lot of other racers come in, help move, run you guys to the parts store. Parts store stayed open late. All this kind of cool stuff that went along with that.
Yeah,
so
we had a couple of local guys, spectators, help us secure some parts, and the parts place we got parts from didn't even sell they were a wholesale company that sold them to me like out the back door.
But it was a guy that was on Drag Week. He's got a dark blue Colorado. And he's like, well, my shop's just up the road. And actually,
Mark White and
Jeff Wilson, who are getting involved in this, they run top alcohol dragster stuff. And they're more than top alcohol dragsters. They used to run nostalgia funny car stuff. Yeah. And I'm about to wire a second car for Mark, actually, because they're like, we'd put 4 engines in a car in a weekend. And he's like, I'm going to build a wagon with a twin turbo LS. And he goes, I'm going to cart 3 of my buddies around and we're going to do this drag and drive thing, So talk about someone that's going to join the 850 power adder ranks. But we just there was a fortunate aspect about that it's there's like this, people gravitating around you to help you, right? I mean, we got in the hotel at 3:15 in the morning.
Wow.
Ryan and Tammy Hargett saved us a parking spot, and then we proceeded to get up at 5:15 because it's our job, and that's what we do. So we slept 2 hours, and so literally, I took the bag chairs and slid them over next to Ryan's trailer, and we got there probably 7 hours after they did, and we left probably 2 hours before they did, but.
Yeah, we actually got locked into Bristol. We were there so late that the security guy locked us in and said, I will come back in an hour and check on you guys, because we were there till 6 or 7 o'clock at night getting the transmission buttoned up. And then
E85, we had to drive 35 or 40 minutes north to get E. Yep. But the transmission was only 126 degrees, so it was not 190, on its way to failure again.
And Dustin and Steve will remember that's the year that we all went to the Betway Nationals. Betway Nationals. So my family was flying down, so we had to have the car together. So we, they had plane tickets and everything else to make that race at that national NHRA race.
Well, and the total spoiler about that is we commandeered a spare engine and had an engine in the bed of my truck and a cherry picker, because if something let go at Drag Week, we were going to just be like, okay, cool, get us back to where we need to go, and we'll put an engine in this thing to make it to the Betway Nationals. We never thought there was going to be an issue with the transmission.
That's the rule of racing, though, is if you have a spare, you won't break it.
Yes,
Pretty much.
very true. Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy. Well, I do want to talk about 850 perfect runs. Really, this class is kind of the only class that's really ET limited like that. And really runs at that. I mean, obviously, Street Machine Eliminator goes to 10-0, but those guys aren't trying to run 10-0s. They're trying to make the top 32. So, this class here is really one of the only ones that runs right up against that. So, only 3 people in history.
I'm going to interrupt for a second, Mike. The other
Mhm.
one, though, is and Dean Anderson, because I think he needs to plug in this. So he went 8,500 in Pro Dial Your Own
for drag week.
Yeah, I was talking about for drag week though. Yeah, so pro DYO, but again, in pro DYO, if your car runs 930s, you can still win that class. You don't need you don't need to be at 850. But yeah, big shout out to Dean and Stephanie. Not really, her name's Jennifer. For running 8500 in pro DYO at Sick Week. But in drag week history, Rick Steinke, Jim Braun, 2019, both those guys ran then, and then Dustin and Steve. It's 3 people in all of the class, and all the hundreds of people that have entered Street Race Power Adder, Street Race Small Block Power Adder have only run perfect passes. And then Brian, you guys have done it at Sick Week 24, right? Is that right?
Yes, at Bradenton.
Yep. And that event, I don't have the numbers. I'm sure Derek Putnam will put them up here in just a minute. But there's only been like 4 or 5 done at Sick Week in its history. It's just
James Stahl did it the day before us, and then we went the next day
when he was in the other lane. I was racing him.
Yeah,
which is kind of ironic, you know.
Yeah, that was pretty awesome. I was in the pits when that happened, sadly. But obviously ran over. Have a great interview with you guys about that. It's pretty cool. I think that's what's been the most fun. It's like to be around when this stuff happens. Jennifer, sorry about that. I called her for a really long time. That's the inside joke about this. But yeah, that's a hard class. And since then, her and Dean have moved into the Street Race Small Block Power Adder class because they perform so well in Pro DYO. So pretty awesome. I mean, it's really pretty crazy when you start thinking about one thing Jay said early on in one of our interviews was that, it could be the difference in how you stage by 2 or 3 inches.
Mm-hmm.
Just that small amount of bump. And, with as much as I do with like Midwest Drag Race Series and stuff, as you see guys, like the guy lining that person up and getting them into the beams is pretty important. A lot of times it just looks like they're up there just, hey, this is where the line is. But, for you guys, I know Jay would probably get pretty nerdy on that stuff about, hey, this is exactly where you need to be each time so you can repeat it. Especially if you could run like a 498, 497, man, damn. I would hate to know that the placement of my big toe was the difference in running.
Well, yeah, especially when you talk about deep staging a car. I mean, these cars are, they're 1,000 horsepower vehicles, right? And so, you deep stage a car. We've seen 60-foot differences, and as much as my guy Brian here is like, that can't be. It's like I'm like, Brian, it was slow to 60. I'm like, we didn't have a run at it. Like you were like flickering the pre-stage bulb. I'm like, that has an impact on it. And I'm not saying that you don't know that, but to what magnitude does it have on it? And nobody's going out there like, oh, I'm going to make 3 runs like shallow staging and 3 runs deep staging to see. Well, bracket racers might be doing that, but we're not out there to like go beat on the car to make 3 runs shallow staging, 3 runs deep staging to see like what that difference is. But we've got, and I think Mike, you've met the Ledfords that own Mid Michigan, and he's like, at that power level, what did he say?
He thought it could be a couple hundreds.
Yeah. He thought it could be 2 to 3 numbers. And I was like, hey, when the car's slowing down like this, or we're seeing that change, I'm like, that's, so as you mentioned, Mike, we are the way the car builds boost and creeps in, it's every piece of it is a system.
Yeah, I intentionally have my bump set really, really soft. So, I mean, it might take me 4, 5, 6 hits of the button to get it to go in, but I want it to go in as, as consistent as possible. And I just try and get in as
Yeah.
shallow as I can every time, just because that's the most consistent for me, at least, anyways. But yeah, I mean, normally
Yeah,
I'd
because
speed
once
the
you
bump
roll
up
in,
a
you
whole
don't
bunch,
know,
but
right?
yeah. But yeah, you gotta be exact every single time. Otherwise, yeah, things change. Because like I said, these cars are fast enough that you're in a little deeper, a couple inches, whatever. I mean, that can be, half a hundredth or, 100th or more if you're in real deep. So
Yep.
makes a difference. Yep.
Man, that's awesome. All right. Well, let's not give away too many secrets there. I do want to move on and get to our next setup here real quick. We got to do another ad read, and then we're going to jump into drag week stories and kind of the upcoming drag week and what we're gonna see there. So if you guys will hang tight just a second, we'll run through some of this stuff. Again, want to say thanks to Molly Motorsport for their work with us. We really appreciate them. They actually, big shout out to them, came in clutch for Jason Hurley this last week. If you guys need some special pistons, if you need something that's kind of one-off stuff, these guys really can do it. They're pretty awesome, and they're not just sponsors of the program here. They're also racers. You can see Eric Grillo's Nova there on the side. Stick shift, almost a 9-second stick shift in a car, and then George Wright on the other side there in his Duster, long time or multi-time drag week racer, probably coming back again this year. That car makes like 700 and something horsepower in a, so pretty awesome. Let's bring up Derek Putnam's comment here before we do move on. He said, caught me off guard. Overall count is 12 total, 8,500 runs in history. Hot Rod Drag Week, there's been 3. We talked about those earlier. Sick Week, there's been 3. Summer has also been 3, Midwest Drags with 2, and then Rocky Mountain Race Week with 1. I know the Rocky Mountain Race Week was Aaron Schiffer, and then oh man, that's a good one. Sick Week. I don't know if anybody's doubled up, to be honest. It would be Aaron Schaefer, one at Rocky Mountain and one at Sick Week. I don't know. It'd be interesting. That's a great question. It's a great question, Roby. I'll make that note. Look at that later. Me and Derek will be nerding out as we go on here. So, all right. Again, thank you guys so much for being our race car friends. Thank you for being here. Thank you to the guys down here that are taking time out of their life to join us tonight and let us pick their brain and go through all kinds of stuff, and then hit the share button as we get in, because the next bit of stuff is going to be stories. It's going to be upcoming events, all that kind of stuff. So if you are here for that, please hang out. Thank you so much to our sponsors. They truly make all this possible. So if you're shopping and looking for parts, we would love it if you would hit these guys up. Summit Racing Equipment, obviously a big one here. They're sponsors of the show and the news. Deech Works down here, boy Mark Campbell actually is their sales director. I don't know what his professional title is, but he's a sales badass.
Sweep the floors.
Yeah. Love those guys. We're going to obviously see them at the Circuit 2026. We're going to go by their place, all that kind of stuff. So thanks to Deech Works, fuel systems that can, power 3,000 horsepower GTRs. Molly Motorsports, best pistons on the market, totally custom stuff. And regular, normal stock stuff if you need all that stuff. Driven Racing Oil, Howard's Cams, J-Wire Solutions, who's also down here below, not just a sponsor of the program, but also a racer and a supporter. After Racing Products, love Eric Saffel and the team over there, our newest sponsors coming on board. Performable Transmissions, who we're going to get to see at Drag Week. I'm so excited to get a tour of the shop there. About 15 minutes from New Media Drag Week, which is one of the stops, so it's going to be awesome. Car Change 3D, Power Tube TV, WAF Racing, Sweet Patina with the best hand cleaning wipes on the market. I'm going to have some of those at Drag Week as well. And then Racing Junk Classifieds if you need some, car parts or a car, you can find it on Racing Junk. Dean Anderson here saying, didn't James Tall get 2 at Sick Week 2 days in a row? I don't think so. I don't think he did 2. I think he got really close when he was next to Brian and Jay, though. And then the gentleman's agreement is simply like, Eric and I love doing this. We do this because it's a passion of ours, but then also the gentleman's agreement. We're going to keep doing that, but we want you guys to hit the subscribe or follow button wherever you're watching this. And that's how it is, because we're not going to be able to tell that you did that, but we're going to do this, you do that. We'll keep moving on. All right, sir. Let's move into the Beachworks segment here. So this is going to be kind of fun because we're going to talk about upcoming drag week and all that kind of cool stuff. So Beachworks is a leading manufacturer of high performance fuel system components. The DW product line includes fuel injectors, fuel pumps, pump modules, fuel rails, regulators, filters, lines, and fittings, plus surge tanks, all engineered to support power levels ranging from 400 to 2200 horsepower, which is a sweet spot for drag and drive, let's be honest. Since its founding, Beachworks has been committed to delivering quality, innovation, and precision to the automotive performance industry. Every product is built to maximize reliability and efficiency, which again, important for drag and drive, ensuring optimal fueling solutions for racers, tuners, and performance enthusiasts worldwide. With a focus on engineering excellence and industry-leading customer support, Beachworks continues to drive the future of high performance fueling. And as you guys can see here on the screen, use code DDR10 for a 10% off discount on your entire purchase. And hey, they don't have just cool parts and everything like that. They've also got cool merch and super cool people. So if you're ever in the Oklahoma City region, please stop by there, say hi, get a tour of their facility. But whenever you're ordering stuff, DDR10 for all of your discount code there. Okay. Again, Mark, thanks for being part of Beachworks and being on here tonight. So let's talk about upcoming drag week stuff. I know Mark isn't going, but based on what you've been seeing around the country, are you excited about some of the stuff that's happening up that way?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I love watching the results, of course, in the races. I mean, I'd love to get out to some. I've just been so stinking busy with, personal stuff. My daughter's a very competitive swimmer, and so she's always involved in that, and work's been busy and everything like that. But no, I'm super excited. I mean, I love watching what's going on. I love seeing how competitive the 850 and honestly all the classes are. I've literally raced my entire life. I mean, I started going to the racetrack with my dad when I was, I think, 5 or 6 years old. Got my Super Comp license literally on my birthday, and I've never not raced. And I'll tell you, the level of competition at the Dragon Drives is like nothing else. I mean, it's incredible. I've, like I said, I've raced everything from a Super Comp car to a Pro Mod, Top Alcohol Funny Car, whatever, won a reasonable amount of trophies. And it's every bit as hard to win at a drag and drive or even just compete, be in the top 3, 5, 10, whatever of these classes than it is, like I've finished top 10 in NHRA divisional stuff for the year many times and won a couple national events and stuff. This stuff's harder in a lot of ways, because not only do you have to compete at the racetrack, but you got to drive your stuff everywhere you go. You don't get a trailer, you don't get a support vehicle. So no, I'm super excited. I love this stuff. Like I said, I'm going to try and get to some more races myself, in the next couple of years. I actually had an opportunity to go to Six Smokies this year with Robert, a good friend of mine, but unfortunately it falls on a big swim meet for my daughter. So
dang,
you might see me at a couple of the days, but I think it's the second last day. That's her big swim meet, so I got to go to that. But I've actually been at the racetrack the last, a couple of times here, twice with Robert, and actually I think we're going out again on Friday with that twin turbo Tesla that he races. And we've been working on getting down the racetrack. So it's been a little bit of a challenge, but I think we were out there last Tuesday or Wednesday and made several hits, and the car's really starting to come around. So I'm pretty excited for him to be able to get out there and have a good showing. So, but yeah, it's just exciting. I mean, it's really good racing, and anybody that doesn't think it is, I don't know what they're expecting, because it's incredible. I mean, just crazy how competitive these cars are and how fast they are and how reliable they are.
Yeah, I think that's what gets me on this is like you guys do this every day, all day. You know what I mean? Like you drive from track to track and then make these kind of runs. Derek Putnam did just send me a message. He says 2024 Six Summer had 2 perfect runs on the same day, only time that's ever happened. And they were 2 hours apart. Jeremy Ortiz, big shout out to Team Hybrid on YouTube, and Chris Mary in the Deal Brothers Mustang. So big shout out to Deal Brothers Racing on that. Yeah, this event coming up is pretty exciting, but I think have we raced at some of these tracks? Or I guess the question I guess would be for Steve and Dustin. When you were doing it in 19, are some of these tracks you visited before Drag Week? I guess.
Yeah, we ran Cecil and Maryland that year. The rest of them, no. Yeah.
Man,
The other tracks are new to us.
Right, and I think that's probably what is most interesting about most of the Drag and Drive stuff is that like these national events move around, especially Drag Week. They have different tracks every year. We're seeing, Sick Week is now going on like it's, it'll be its 5th year, 2026 at the same tracks, which, by that point you kind of have some history, you have some data at those tracks. Even if you don't ever get down there until it's Sick Week every year, you now have data at those tracks. But, Drag Week's not going to be like that.
Yeah, that is overrated. You just make one pass and adjust from there.
Yeah. So that is
That's what we do.
Right. Well, and yeah, because it doesn't matter because maybe you've raced at that track before, but everything's different.
We load up what we think will work, and if it doesn't work, you make an adjustment and hit it again. So that is only good if you can repeat the day perfectly. So.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, 2 of these tracks will be new to us. The one in Pennsylvania might be a little tricky for pretty much everybody, so we're making some changes to be prepared for that one. But the other 3 tracks, they should be pretty good.
Yeah. Brian, Jay, have you guys raced at these tracks before?
Cecil we've been to.
2023.
23 Midwest Drags. We went to Cecil. So we kind of did the East Coast swing there. It was horrible.
It's going to be interesting.
Yeah, Cecil can be a challenge. But
I was looking at
I'm not saying Cecil necessarily. Like, the drives were horrible. I mean, like, we sat in traffic for an hour and 20 minutes to drive like 3 miles through some city. Like, I don't even know where we were at. But
yep, we overheated the fuel pump. I was riding with Paul Castiglione, and we overheated his fuel pump in the car. It's in the middle of traffic and just we're like, oh shit.
Fuel temperature is one of the pieces of data we don't have in Brian's car, and he's like, I don't want to know it. Like, nope, I don't want to know how hot things are getting while we're sitting here idling.
Yeah,
that's why you need one of those good Beachworks brushless pumps that you can run at 50% speed. I mean,
Mark's eyes got real big when I started to say that.
There you go.
We don't have a Beachworks pump on the car, but we do have something that we can run down to lower speed. But you still start circulating sub half a tank of fuel with an in-tank pump, and you're circulating by an engine that's hanging out the 190-degree range. I mean, Mark, you know this all too well, but
nothing you can do to keep it cool.
Like, how hot are things getting? And with the horror stories about vapor locking and things at Rocky Mountain, and then we're on an ethanol fuel. It's in the cards. It's in the plans at some point to add it, just from a data perspective, but we just haven't. So,
I want
one of those things. If we don't know it, we froze. Maybe not.
Right? No, you're good. I may have froze. The Tim Gorley here says, "Take notes, Narc, so we know what cities to avoid." Dude, you can't avoid the cities. The highway full of race cars is cool nuts, man. And we'll be in a rental car; it won't matter. So, we'll sit in traffic with everybody and talk. So.
Next question here is, how do you test in preparation for drag?
Sit, driving, talk.
Dustin, how do we test? What testing?
Or do you
test? No testing, just show up.
Yeah. In 21, we put the 400 in a month before drag week. Went out and made one pass out here at Palm Beach and ran an 850 and some change and said, okay, we're ready. And ended up winning. And that transmission actually gave us a little bit of trouble during the week. And we didn't have an air shifter. He's manually shifting a 3-speed. That was quite an eventful week. In 22, I had the motor apart about 6 weeks before drag week, and then being in Florida, I had it all back together, and we couldn't go anywhere to test. It rained every time we went to go somewhere. It rained, so I don't think we made a pass and showed up. And then in 23, the car had sat for about 3 months. I went to fire it up. I had no oil pressure because the E85 had separated all the oil, and it actually pulled up against the pickup and pulled it out. I had to have the whole motor apart the week before drag week. Again, put it all back together. I drove it around the block, and we're off and running. That's why I say we haven't done a lot of testing. We know what it takes to move the car. We just have to get close. Yeah.
So is the car ready to go now?
Yeah. Car's ready to go now. I mean, I do spend a significant amount of time nut and bolting and going through things. I pulled the gear out of the car. I pulled the transmission out of the car. Everything comes out of the car. Doesn't necessarily get apart. I even go through all the wiring and tighten all the terminals. I just check everything I possibly can. I replace all the fuel lines every 2 years, things like that. So probably a little bit overkill on some of this stuff, but it never hurts to do this. I pulled the gear out. It was the gear was brand new from last year, and we only put I think 5 passes on it last year. And then I dropped the oil out like I normally do, and there was metal in it, so it had chipped the tip of every gear. I don't know why, because the pattern looks good, but every tip of every gear had actually chipped a piece off, and it was in the bottom. So there you go. You got to check this stuff. Some people would have just drained the oil and said, okay, it's a little bit of powder. I pulled it out and I saw the gears were chipped, and so it's got a brand new gear in it that has about 20 minutes of drive time around town, and that's about it. So,
Alex,
that's about right.
Alex Johnson here. Testing sequence is pull out of the driveway, turn left, half throttle for 10 seconds straight, make a U-turn, stand on it for 5 seconds, load it on the trailer.
Been there.
Yeah.
It's not ideal.
We've done a lot more drive testing to make sure the car will work than we have track testing. I mean, miles and miles on the street, just to get that out of the way. And it shows we never really break down on the street. I don't think we had one relay go bad in 9 dragon drives, and that was pretty much it. Yeah.
Well,
We
Jay
split
and
a
Brian,
fuel cell wide open on drag week one time. That was fun.
What's that?
Split the bottom of our fuel cell wide open on the second drag week we did. We left the gas station. We're like, it smells like gas in the car. Pulled over to the side of the road, and it's just pouring gas out. So yeah, fortunately we rigged up a little jerry can and jammed it in the back of the car and drove on 5 gallons of fuel at a time until we got to the parking lot at the hotel, and then we got some JB Quick and fixed her up. So
nice.
That's awesome.
Well, Jay and Brian, how do you guys prepare for drag week?
We did that sick week 24 in the back of a CVS parking lot. We pulled the whole fuel cell out and JB welded it like in the CVS parking lot. It was not the best evening. This is story time, isn't it? Like I did the flex steel tape, and we put fuel back in it, and you just watch the tape start to erode and start to leach towards the edges. I'm like, all right, this is going to take more than that.
yeah, I got some of that JB Quick stuff, and I scared everybody to death because I took the fuel cell out into the middle of the parking lot and took a side grinder to it and was grinding the powder coat off, and they're like, that thing's still got gas in it. I'm like, that's okay, don't worry.
Everything's fine.
Everything's fine.
Nobody died, right? So, but yeah, we JB Quicked it, put it back in the car, didn't put any fuel in it, left it sit overnight, came out in the morning, poured fuel in it, and just were like, fingers crossed that it was okay, and it held. And well,
just for reference, you do not have to wait overnight. The cure time is good because we literally tipped it from this way to this way and put it back in the car, and we were driving like an hour and 10 minutes later.
Yeah, we had time, so we could do that. But if we had to drive, I would have JB'd it, put it in the car, put gas in it, and gone. But Fortunately,
But
we
then it
were
was like
already in the parking lot, so we had time. But yeah, it's don't want to mess around with leaky fuel.
Brian chipped that off with like a number 3 flathead screwdriver and a mallet.
So we could weld it.
So I could weld it back together when we got home.
Oh, that's brutal. Yeah, Tim Gorley, YOLO. Might as well hit it with a grinder.
Well, I mean, you put enough miles on these things, something's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's
For sure.
that's the way it works out, right? I mean, I figure we have, well, I know a number of passes, but we put the Baker engine in 22. So 22, 23, 24 season, we made 375 passes, but 15,000 street miles on the car.
That's impressive. Yeah.
I mean, we pulled the valve covers before drag week in 23.
Yep.
And then TJ, who's our friend and performance manager at Baker, like handed 12 back to us and was like, you can put these in if you want to, but like you already have fresh valve springs in it and the valve train's happy as a clam. So
Wow.
Here's spares for the, we went 2 seasons and 250 passes without pulling the valve covers off that thing. The thing just works. So,
Yeah.
But again, you put that many miles on a purpose-built like drag car, like stuff's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's about, Mark mentioned earlier, it's like if you have the spare part, that thing won't fail. So it's about having those things that you can't get at the parts store, right? Yep. So again, we talk about having an LS engine. It's like you can buy 3/4 of that engine at the parts store, and any like thing late model you can do that with, but I mean that's a very strategic thing. Is like we don't carry a lot of extra weight in the trailer if it's a part that we know we can get at O'Reilly's or Advanced or Napa or whatever the case may be, because I mean, you put 1,000 more pounds of stuff in our trailer, and then that just is 1,000 more pounds of strain on the vehicle.
Yep.
Yeah, that's what I do.
Try to use as many over-the-counter parts as I can.
Yep, exactly.
Alternator, water pump, none of that electric stuff. Everything's belts. Everything's over the counter. Yep. The stuff that's going to give you problems, that traditionally gives drag weakers problems. I decided I'm not going to go that road. I, run as much of the OEM stuff as I can on the front of the motor.
Yep. No, we carry the specialty stuff, which is very little, but yeah, like you said, I mean, belts, hoses, all that kind of stuff. I mean, we try and just have stuff that we know we can get anywhere. And, I do carry like a spare starter and stuff, which I could get anywhere technically, but I do carry that with me because just you get stuck on the side of the road somewhere, you want at least to be able to start the car. But once again, I brought it with me and I never used it, so that's the good thing. I did bring head gaskets with me one time, and I thought that's really dumb because I'm not going to change those even if I do push them out. But
no, it's done at that point.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if you push a head gasket, there's bigger problems. But I did bring them once, but we didn't bring them the second time, and well, I didn't need them, so that was good.
I'm not doing head gaskets.
Yeah.
What do you guys
bring a spare transmission? How committed am I to finishing this week that I'm going to lay under my car?
I could have used one last year.
Oh,
I had one at home. I could have used it last year.
Yep.
You remember?
Yeah,
That's to put us out on day one, and we're not changing it. That was rough. I was only a week out of COVID, and it was a terrible week for us. So, and the transmission, we weren't going to fix it. We later found out it was something actually, when I got home, I sent it out and to somebody, and they went all through it. It went on a dyno. I got it back. We took the car to street and yeet, and it still did the same thing. And I traced it down to a bad case and a problem that was really, really difficult to find. And so, but had we had a spare transmission, we probably could have used it back then, but it would have been in a truck and we couldn't have gotten to it. So who knows?
Yeah, exactly.
That's the thing about this class. I mean, we did bail in 21 on the 24 on the first day, but it's so close. If you're going to be so far behind on the first day, it's not worth it sometimes, and there's a lot of guys who want to be heroes and rebuild motors on the side of the interstate, and it just that's not why we're there. We're there to win, and if it's going to evaporate that fast because you got one bad day, it's a tough call. to go there. You know, you guys know you did the transmission in Bristol, and it was very commendable. But we probably would have backed up at that point because you know if we'd have turned in that bad a ticket, it's what's the use, you know?
Yeah, and that's the tough part. And I think some of it though is like, I don't know.
Well, and
I think from the story side, you know. Go ahead, Jay. Sorry.
No, I was just going to say, like, I mean, in that year, last year, Steve, I mean, we turned in a 50 with a 6, and we're like, yes, we're in 4th after day 1.
Yeah.
6th off from perfect.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, this is a different breed of animal that we're dealing with this year. Like,
I think we had a 51 with a 2 at the end of the day, but you could hardly drive the car through the pits. I mean, it was terrible.
Yeah.
and that car, you're not getting a transmission on the ground in that car, unfortunately. A Power Glide, no problem. That transmission is in it now. It's just too much. And so we would have had to find a shop. It would have been a real deal. And then I doubt if we'd have found the problem because, like I say, went through and the whole thing was overlooked again. It was really an odd situation, but you know, it is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out to Jeremy Ortiz here, Team Hybrid Racing jumping in. So speaking of, you know, running a 50 with a 6, what do you guys think it's going to take this year at Drag Week to win the class? Any ideas?
Mid 50 with a something, you know, 50
Yeah.
with a 4, 50 with a 5, probably.
Yeah.
I mean, if somebody's inside that's pretty awesome.
You know, it depends though. A lot depends on what happens with the weather and how things go. You know, I mean, I've seen days when everybody's running really good, and then everybody gets to that one track, and nobody's got a ticket to turn in, and then everybody's average goes out the window. You know, so which was like that when we ran with Rick in 21. We were having great days, and then we both got to Indy, and it was like, oh man, we were like literally the last people down the track at Indy, and just trying. I think we ended up turning in a 52. You know, it was like nobody could get a number, but before that, we'd had great numbers. So it depends on a lot of factors, but I think if the tracks are good, the weather's good, you're gonna have to be in the mid 50, you know, 50 something to win this thing.
Yep. That's going to be awesome to watch.
Right.
Yeah, and probably got to be a 51 or better to get second or third.
Yeah. I'm going to predict that the track in Pennsylvania is going to be the deal breaker for a lot of guys.
Yeah.
Well,
that one's going to be hard.
Right, and I think that's what's cool about this is like it truly, like, everybody races the same track every day. It's a different track every day, but everybody has that same thing every day.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
We lost
Jay.
Brian and Jay.
Reload.
Hey,
we're back.
Yeah,
We just had to move you to the left. I see.
I didn't pay the internet bill. I was buying car parts.
Really?
Well, the question is, what do you think it's going to take to win the class?
Oh, so Brian said whatever Steve sets the bar at. So I don't know if that came through or not, or
No.
if that was locked up. But
I gotta tell you, our man Randy
it's-
might be there this year, so
Yeah.
he's going to be tough.
Yep. Have you talked to Randy lately?
Yes, I have. Yeah.
Small block Ford Power guy. We forgot about him earlier.
Yeah.
His
Yeah,
surgery.
he texted me yesterday. I had texted him about my grandchild, and he texts back. He's something about can't wait to get up there and beat our ass, and so
That's awesome. That's awesome.
So Derek here saying last year it was an 850 with a 9 for first, 51 with a 4 for second, and a 52 with a 4 for third.
Sure.
That's crazy. That's pretty wild. Okay, last segment here. Let's run through this, and then we're gonna tell stories. I promise, because this is
Yeah, that was Randy, us, and then who had third?
Chris Murray.
Yeah,
I think Chris Murray was third.
Yeah, pretty crazy. Performer Built Transmissions. I want to give a shout out to Ryan Snyder and the team up there. They do a bunch for us. Appreciate them. Mr. Eric, if you want to read this one here, I'll let you do it.
All right. Performer Built is the official transmission builder of Drag Drive Repeat. At Performer Built Transmissions, the goal is to engineer and build the toughest transmissions on the planet. Performer Built doesn't just rebuild transmissions, they systematically re-engineer each model to eliminate OEM flaws and to achieve the highest levels of performance. That's why they say their transmissions are not just built, they are Performer Built.
All right. So in this segment, again, and we are going to be hanging out with Ryan up there. He is like 15 minutes from Numidia Dragway. So during Drag Week 2025, we are going to do something at his shop. I don't know if we'll do food and snacks or if we'll do some kind of sticker if somebody wants to stop by. We're going to do something while we're up there. It'll be the first time I've gotten to hang out with him at his shop. We hung out with him on 6 Summer. He rode with the Prices, I think, Latch Wing 4. 6 Summer 2024. So it'd be cool to hang out with him and see him and hang out. But I want to talk about some of the repairs, but I want to talk about like parking lot beers. I want to talk about like just this will be our kind of closing segment here. Let's just kind of have some fun, tell some fun stories from all the events that you guys have been on.
Well, man, where do you start?
Yeah, right.
That's probably the hardest part.
That's I'll jump into it.
I know, our first hot rod drag week in 22, we were doing pretty good. And I think it was the third night, the hotel we were at, we ran into these Aussies that were there. And I'll tell you what, I mean, I've been to Australia and certainly know how, well, for one, just crazy in general those guys are, but man, they wouldn't let us go to bed that night. Like, I mean, we're like, we got to get up early and go racing. We're doing good here. Like, we want to keep going. And man, they wouldn't let us go. And
I paid them off, Mark.
Yeah.
Strategic.
Yeah. But man, we had a great time. I mean, we probably drank a whole lot more than we should have. I tried to stay a little more on the level-headed side because I had to drive, but no, I mean that was certainly a real good time we had for sure. And then they found us at the racetrack the next day, and they're like, "Where are you guys staying tonight?"
You're like,
And I will say we probably lied to them because I was like, yeah, like we can't do that again. I mean, like we just can't do that again. So, but yeah, that was a pretty good time. I mean, we had a blast, but we definitely stayed out way too late and yeah, partook probably a little more than we should have. But I'll tell you, it was a good time, and there was probably, I don't know, 30 or 40 more people around us too that were all just, and these guys, these Aussies were just winding everybody up. I mean, it was a pretty good time, but yeah, we had to settle down and focus on racing.
boring.
Yeah, I had to go and drink. I had to change the oil in my intercooler, so I had to get back to working on the car.
Right.
Yeah, parking lot beers are kind of where it's at. We have a ton of fun. That's probably Eric and I's hardest part about Dragon Drives is like we get to the hotel. That's time for second shift for us. We got to get in and edit videos and photos and make posts and tell stories and all that kind of stuff. So we try and limit our parking lot beers experience, but there have been times where Eric and I have had a really good time for the weekend or for the week.
Well, lately we haven't seen a lot of people at the last couple events we've been at in the parking lot. So
yeah, Heads Up Hustle did a good job of having people hanging out outside, but yeah, that really kind of has been a problem. Maybe we need to correct that on Drag Week. Tim, if you're still listening, let's try and correct that a little bit. But yeah, that's been I think everybody's been. You do several events a year, it becomes tough to stay up real late at night, and especially like Mark was saying, if you're competitive in the class, man, it's hard to stay out till 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning and then perform the next day, especially by the time you get to day 3 or 4.
Yeah,
the first day or two is not necessarily that bad, but once you get day 3, day 4, I mean, yeah, it gets tiring. I think I'm going to flip the script though one of these years. I'm going to do like just be a part of sick ward or something like that, take one of my cars and just drive it. And I'm going to sabotage somebody in the class. I'm going to take them out and just get them rip roaring drunk or something like that one night. So I'm looking for payoffs. Anybody that wants me to take care of anybody, just let me know, and I can make sure that
I'll sling this bitch.
Buy somebody a bunch of beer or something. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Jan Haas here saying Midnight Waffle House run. For sure. That is the other struggle, man. There's not any Waffle Houses, I think, in that part of the country, right? For Drag Week. Let me see here.
Hard to believe there's not a Waffle House somewhere, but up there, probably not.
Surprised you don't have the locations memorized yet, Mike.
Well, we're going to get to a few new ones this time for sure.
That's 5G. Sorry, we got disconnected again. Are we back and good?
Yeah, you're good.
Gotcha.
Okay. So I'm not sure where we're at in stories. Can I share one?
Yes, please.
So specifically to parking lot beers. So we did Drop the Hammer last year and this year, which is Carl Stanzel's race. And last year, we were at the Edmore Inn, which is just up the road, like 25 minutes from Brian's house. And I was like, oh, we can save on a hotel and stay at your house. And he's like, I kind of want to stay at the hotel. And I'm like, all right, cool. And it was cool because one, I feel like regional events have a little bit less stress associated with them. And I mean, we were the biggest thing happening in Edmore, these 60 something cars all parked at the same hotel, and so it was really cool to walk around and, get razzed by people and razz other people and all that kind of stuff. And then this year I said to Brian, so, and Narcs, you'll know this because Midwest Drag Racing was at Martin. So we set up our generator with a 32-inch flat screen and put the PDRA race, and in conjunction with Midwest Drag Series, we had that set up running, streaming, so people could watch the race at Martin while we were sitting at the hotel. So to me, that was a lot of fun. We had 25 people held around the front of Brian's car because we had a flat screen watching racing while we were in the process of racing. So that was a lot of fun because again, it was very low key and chill. It wasn't, the drive is shorter and, it's a 3-day deal. So I feel like that's the cool thing about the regional stuff is that, again, the drives are a pinch shorter in most cases, and you don't have 300 people. You've got 60 to 150, which even 150 starts to push that envelope. But the 60 to 80 people that you can all get to the same hotel, and you're in, like I said, Edmore, Michigan, which there's not a lot going on.
There's one hotel.
There's one hotel, and there's about 300 foot of burnout in front of the ice cream stand, thanks to this guy.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's down by the ice cream shop.
My foot slipped.
Yeah, one of his foot slipped off the brake.
I'm just glad I asked those people.
Mike Narks was grabbing the CO2 bottle to turn the submit on.
Yeah, it was a pretty good time.
I think, to Jay's point, when it starts to get 9-10 o'clock or whatever, I think people are turning in. I think the key to hanging out in the parking lot is you got to have a little bit of time. Guys want to get to bed and get some rest. So when it starts to get midnight, there's not a lot of guys hanging out in the hotel. I feel like they're trying to get some rest and they had a long day. And so when you can get there at 6-7 o'clock at night, there's a lot better chance of hanging out. And that's what our experience and the ones we've done, the national events have the longer drives. And if you have any delays or you're the last guy at the track trying to go 850, like we are, you end up at the hotel at 10, 11, 12 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
And there's just a few diehards in the parking lot,
And I think that's the other thing too, is Steve, you mentioned earlier, you're going there to place and to win, right? And so I get up earlier at Drag and Drive events than I do for my normal job. By 2 hours. This guy, he's up early. Yeah. This guy's up early, but I'm like, oh, it's 7:20. I should get out of bed so I can make it to work by 8. And we're up at 5:15 every morning. That's our job for the week, is to perform and to get there when we need to and all those types of things. And so it's a preparedness thing. And so it's not really a vacation, and
Far from it.
yeah. And I think like sick week, I feel isn't maybe as much, but like sick summer, there's 2 short drive days, I think. And so that's nice because like you do the what's the town that we've gone to that kind of shuts the town down for us and stuff, and they do a party, and those short drive days were Rock Falls. Yeah. So when you have like 125 or 140 mile drive day, it's like cool. I can, even if I leave the track at 3:00, I'm getting there by 6:30. To Brian's point, and like it helps so much because you feel like you can have. Thanks, Derek. It feels like you can have a couple hours of like chill time before it's like I need to go to bed. I need to get back into my routine and my regimen because it's no different than the car goes down the track. We try and be as consistent as we can with our routine. And that's probably the engineer in me and the OCD in him. And that's just how we roll. And the other people on the screen right now are nodding their heads because they're thinking the same thing, right? It's just,
you're no different than Dustin and I. We're pretty regimented. We want to get to sleep. If you ever notice, we're actually not early to the track. We try to take a little bit more time in the morning to get into things and not rush to the track and sit in line and all that kind of stuff. We wait till the line's gone and we'll get there later. But I mean, it's a grind. Drag week, I don't think is conducive to the parking lot parties and good times as some of the other events are. And a lot of it depends on the class you're running as well. If you're running our class and you want to place good, you're going to have to work at it. And that means on and off the track and between tracks and everything else. So you got to be fresh, you got to be focused, and you got to be ready. You got to be alert.
Right. So what I'm hearing is a 12-second car that's not going to be in any competitive in any class would be fun. That would be the way to go.
You just got a woman done in 850. That's all. You could have fun with that.
Right, Mark Campbell.
Yeah.
2 days in a row.
I had both sides of the thing. I had several one and dones, and I also had several run the wheels off of it until it wouldn't run anymore, and fix it and repair it and drive till midnight and whatever. So, because it can happen both ways real quick. Sometimes on the same event.
Mark, what time did you guys get out of there the second day? It was like 9:30 or something, right?
In Indy, we were leaving and people were pulling in. I mean, it was crazy because I think they switched up the run order or something that day too, and I think we were the first ones out. And so we made a run at like 9:00 and went at 50 with a 5 or whatever, and pulled back in, and we're like, all right, swap the tires over and put the trailer on it, and we're driving out, and everybody's looking at us like, where are you guys going? We're like, we're done. We're gonna I think we got to the next place at like 2:00 in the afternoon or something like that. Man. Like, I mean, it was crazy. We went and had
made our
dinner that night.
Pass at 2:00 that afternoon.
Yeah.
Brian's like, he's like, they went one and done twice. Like, what is that? Like,
dude,
he's like, where is that in our program?
Yeah, I remember that conversation with Brian too, because I mean, I told Mark before, I said, man, you had us scratching our heads, because like, holy shit, dude, goes in.
Yeah, how many of us on this podcast have made 7 runs and then turned in our first pass of the day?
Oh.
At like an 852.
Cool. We're the only ones.
Yeah, like an 852 that you ran, and then you couldn't do better, and ended up turning that pass in after it's 3:00. Over here.
Yeah. How many passes? We're good for 7 passes at Indy too. So Indy's our nemesis.
Indy's been tough on us.
So 2 years
Indy's
ago,
our nemesis.
Yeah.
2 or 3 years ago at Indy, we made 6 passes, I think.
Yep.
It was the last year before we started pulling a trailer. So we had the little buggy carrier thing. And at the end of the day, I was this red. It was red as my shirt, actually, because I had been out in the sun all day long.
Yep.
And the car went like a 51 with an 8 near the end of the day. And like Loans knows Brian from Land Speed Racing. And so we're like hot lapping the car, right? And so Brian, at that point, we were carrying extra weight and we were filling stuff. And Brian's like, we don't have time to change the tune-up. Like, let's just pull some weight out of it, right? So we pull like 10 pounds out of the car. So the car goes 51 with a 6 or something like that. We pull 10 pounds out of it, and it goes a 49 with a 2 or something like that. And it's like, throw it away. We're done. And we literally turned in like this 51 with a 2. It was the first pass of the day. It was 8 hours ago.
Yeah.
Oh,
I mean, there was downtime and stuff like that, and I'm as red as this shirt, and so is Brian. I've had one water, a Mountain Dew, and a hot dog to eat all day. Like that has been my caloric intake, and it was it was a nightmare. And Brian's like, we're turning the first pass, aren't we? I'm like, yep. That's like the toughest ones to swallow.
Yeah.
You don't know. We didn't have a good pass to the last pass that day because we were right there with you in the staging lanes on like pass 6 or 7.
Yeah.
And we hadn't had a good pass all day. I mean, in the 52s, I think we finally got one at the very end. It was just lucky.
Yep.
But I don't know what it is about Indy, but we've been there twice and have really struggled with that track and had great runs the day before and the day after at the other tracks. But you get the Indy and you chase the thing. You chase the car quite a bit.
Yeah, and you'd expect an NHRA national event track would be wouldn't do that. But we've struggled spinning there.
So that was 23, and then 24 last year. We went 50 with a 6 on day 1 at Trails, and then Brian's car was 2 thou quicker to the 1,000 foot last year on the first pass, and and we were like the 4th pair down, and it was so we went 50 with a 6 at Trails. And then, like I said, we were 2 thou, I think, quicker to the 1,000 foot. And the car slowed like 3.5 or 4 mile an hour and went like a 52 with a 1. And I was like, if the car didn't spin down track, like that was a 50 with a 2 or a 50 with a 1. And then guess what? Like we go like 52 with like the best pass we turned in was like that pass, I think. Again, here it is, Indy returning the first pass of the day. I mean, it's almost like whatever we run on the first pass we just turn in because we've done it 4 times.
Yeah.
And just save ourselves the insanity of the day. Because, Steve, you mentioned earlier, like you're trying to keep up with the weather, keep up with the track going away. You're trying to keep up with these variables that, in a lot of cases you don't have control over.
Yep. And then you shoot yourself in the foot. That picture behind me, that's Indy in 21 when Dad forgot to stiffen the shocks up on the first pass. We had just run the perfect number the day before at Byron, and I came in with the same exact tune-up, and we got there, and even though we have a checkoff sheet in the trunk, we always ask each other, did you go down the sheet? But we didn't, and I forgot to reset the shocks, and that thing lifted. And that's actually, it was probably a foot higher than that at 300 feet.
Oh yeah,
carrying away out there. And he's manually shifting that car too, so it didn't have an air shifter in it at the time either. So it was way out there. And then the rest of the day was a train wreck. We couldn't figure out what was going on. Why did it do that? Maybe it's the track is that good or whatever. So I'm changing the tune-up, not thinking that I didn't mess with the shocks. So we made like 2 other passes, and I realized, oh crap, I didn't get the shocks set, and then so we reset the shocks, and then of course you're in the afternoon weather, and it's a train wreck from there. So
it's greasy. Yeah,
that's where the discipline of the routine comes in, and then we've got that checkoff sheet now, and both of us go down it because we turn the car around really fast because, like I told you, you'll see us come in later than anybody else, and we'll park in the back for you. It doesn't matter because we're going to park in the staging lanes all day. Our trailer's really nothing for us. And, so we try to turn around fast, and it's easy to miss something. So we follow a really tight routine, and it works.
Mm-hmm.
What was the move going to like Steve and Dustin? Did y'all ever drive without a trailer?
No, we had a small Harbor Freight trailer with a couple fuel jugs and our tires on it, but no, we never had without a trailer. When we stepped up to the bigger trailer in 22, I think it was, that's the way to go. An enclosed trailer, you can put all your stuff in there. You can turn the car around really fast. We carry 6 jugs of fuel in the trailer and 15 gallons on the car, so we can get quite a ways down the road. it's just nice to have someplace to put all your stuff. Our Harbor Freight trailer, everything was on the open. We had a jog box on the front of it, but you're always worrying about, people cutting all the cables and stealing their stuff. And
and weather too, like rain.
Yeah.
Before we had a trailer, if it rained, all of our stuff was yard sailed, our luggage, it was just.
Eric doesn't know anything about wet clothes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we've left our luggage. We've left our luggage in the pits because we had no place to put it with the Harbor Freight trailer. Try to throw a tarp over it or something if it looks like it's going to rain. So, yeah, the enclosed trailer is the way to go anymore. The
pros outweigh the cons for sure. From when we
haven't really noticed any cons about it, even though it's heavy. We don't see anything in the way the car drives or overheats or anything like that. It runs cool.
Yeah, the only cons we have is hotel parking. You have to have a spot. Yeah. When we had a buggy carrier, we could park in a regular parking spot, and turning around was obviously not a problem.
And I think the car might be a couple hundred RPM different, like at 70, towing it. There's some more wind drag, but
you notice that, but it hasn't hurt anything. So
no.
Well, and I think like the cool thing from like media side for like Eric and I is that you end up like everybody's now up in their trailer game, so it's like it's a whole thing to modify now. You got the car on point now. It's like time to modify the trailer and build out this entire thing you got going on. I know Jay's worked a bunch on their trailer building stuff.
Mm-hmm. And really, my dad has because he's retired and he used to be a woodworker, and so I'm like, I need this shelf over here to do this, and so. And very much like my background in lean manufacturing, I'm like, it's kind of the opposite. It's like first in, first out. Well, I guess that's FIFO, isn't it? First in, first out.
Yeah.
So we are like the canopy goes in last, and it's the first thing that comes out. So it's like we have shade and rain coverage until the very end, and then it's the first thing that we get. We get shade and rain coverage, and we've got lights and all this kind of stuff. I mean, the debut of the trailer was Sick Week 23, and literally it was just like, hey, how much all the stuff that we used to throw in the car, we're going to throw in the trailer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I bought that trailer from Travis
Fothi.
He has that black station wagon with a blower.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just a blank canvas. It had nothing, good deal, but it had no shelves.
And it leaked.
Yeah, so it's been good. We've got it pretty rock solid now, but the first couple of years were, just improving it and making it pack better. And
and there were three things like we talk about me being as red as this shirt at Indy. We didn't have a cooler, we didn't have a canopy, and I all 290 pounds of me did not have a scooter. So strategic parking.
Preach.
Yeah.
So I'm like, we need to be as close to station lanes as possible because I could ride up with you, but I'm walking back, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then since then, it's like, oh well, we could add another blower fan, and we could add a generator, and so the scope creep a little bit. But those are all things now that are integrated into like our package, and
makes it so much better.
It's so much better.
Now you just have to make sure you don't leave the scooter at a track and go home.
Oh boy, here we go.
Who's done that?
You got friends in high places.
I left my scooter, you guys, at Byron during Sixth Summer, and
at the award ceremony.
And Eric White went to go get it like a week later, and it was parked right where I left it. No one even by the bleachers. Like no one touched it.
Brian's, you're not gonna believe this, and I'm like, probably won't. But what happened?
It did have two flat tires, so it wasn't really theft, intriguing for anybody to steal it with the two flat tires.
Yeah. That was also the 290-pound guy exceeding the weight limit of the scooter.
Yeah.
But we have solid tires now. We're in great shape.
Yeah, I've got to get my scooter working. Man,
that's a game changer
all year. You know what I mean? I'm over it, especially with what we're fixing to come up on. So, well, what else, guys? I feel like we haven't told enough stories. What are we forgetting? What should we talk about as one last story as we wrap this up? Let's talk food, because obviously you guys know I love Waffle House. And I was just looking a few minutes ago. There are no Waffle Houses on our general area up there, so sadly we won't be buying dinner up there. But Do you pack? Do you try and find something? Are you gas station? What's your general consensus?
So I'm going to offer a quick version of my story. So the night that we did the transmission at Bristol, we rolled into a gas station. You know, we're on like alt fuels trying to find E85. And what did I eat? I grabbed something out of like the cooler, and Brian's like, that is going to tear you up. And it was like 1 a.m, and we hadn't had dinner yet. It was like a buffalo chicken something or other.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I'm like, poink off the rack into the scanning the barcode. So there's my food story there we can laugh about. But
yeah, I can only imagine. You were 284 pounds the next day.
And wouldn't roll his window down, so I had to smell that.
Yeah. Dustin went through that in 23 at on the way to Bristol. Yeah, he likes to pack a little beef jerky with him, and we went to Buc-ee's and he bought some jerky at Buc-ee's, and it did not agree with him. We were pulling over a couple of times. The next day, if we hadn't been having such a great week, man, he would have been in bad spirits. I think Mike, you even interviewed him, and he was a mess.
Yep.
Yeah,
I threw up in front of somebody's house. I don't know who.
I just bailed off the road into somebody's front yard, and at 10 o'clock at night,
oh dang,
pull over.
waiting to get shot. You know.
They're like, I think that car's kind of cool, but there's a dude yakking out there.
It was like 10 at night.
Yeah, even better.
And I think we were only like 5 miles from the hotel in Bristol. We weren't very far. And he goes, I'm not going to make it.
Oh
Man, that's tough. And the heat, that year was pretty hot in the middle of the day. By night time, it wasn't bad, but yeah.
Does anybody run air conditioning? Mark, do you run AC? No.
I got 240 air, so 2 windows, 40 miles an hour.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Steve doesn't know. Okay.
No, and that car's so aero that nothing comes in it, so it can get pretty warm in there. Yeah.
Yeah, we're fortunate to the Arkansas air conditioning. Like we can vent windows slip back, but
the Nova has those quarter windows that are pretty nice.
But beyond that, we rolled by drag drivers, and we're like, oh, their windows are up, and it's 85 degrees. I'm like,
jerks.
Yeah, sons of guns or jerks is a polite way to put it. I definitely on the headsets are saying something different.
Yeah, it's
I don't know
if driving at night.
I don't know if he runs it during the Dragon drives, but Tim Flanders has AC on his Mustang.
Tim's got Mustang, or
I'm assuming he probably has the.
Oh yeah.
One of the few 850 cars that probably has it.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, he hasn't. We haven't had him on the show. We need to have him on the show. Leading up. Do you know if he's doing drag week?
I don't believe so.
No.
I would say no.
I don't think so. I think he
dragging.
made a comment somewhere the other day that he wasn't going to be there.
I think.
But Steve, you talk about somebody like Dustin was manually shifting that 400 at the time. Like to this day, Tim manually shifts his 400 and locks up his overdrive because he's got gear unders on it.
Yeah.
I still manually shift my car too. I don't lock up the overdrive, but I still manually shift my car.
Yeah, that's impressive.
Yeah, that's
when this car was NA, I was locking up the overdrive in it because I run a 487 gear in it. And when it was NA, we raced it there. I would lock up the overdrive in it when I drove it. Didn't really make much.
Yeah, I mean, those are all things that are like time dependent things that are like.
Yeah.
Like, is this happening when I expect it to?
Is that muscle memory or just what to look for? Like, I can't imagine how quick that stuff is coming up, and then you're like, oh, I'm at 342 feet. Time for third gear, or whatever like that.
Yeah, I find myself. I mean, I got a shift light and everything like that in the car, but honestly, after you make enough runs, you just
you're
listening to it and you're putting it in there, and
that's what I think too.
Yeah. Johnson Snowcyber talking about he can have his windows down. It'd be 40 degrees and it's still hot in that car. It's an oven. Race car go. It's so loud. It was so loud. Now, what's his name? John Doherty has the exhaust on his big block Nova. And, man, no way I want to ride in that stuff. That's what's cool to me about like small block power adders. Like a lot of times, it's a turbo small block. Like it's not some crazy naturally aspirated, got to have an inch of lift to do what you do,
Mhm.
Yeah, turbos worth that. So the next question is, why do we not see more nitrous cars? And then we'll finish the show up in this class.
Oh, I mean,
I think it's consistency.
yeah. I mean,
I think it'd be really hard to dial a nitrous car in.
Yeah, I mean, I think you can make them consistent, but the engine, the way that it has to be designed, specifically around compression ratio, camshaft design, stuff like that, it's way less conducive to being able to drive,
Yeah.
nicely.
I think it's a drivability piece too. Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, because typically, I mean, I've had some nitrous cars over the years, and I mean, you can dial them in pretty tight. I mean, we used to run a lot of like small, like super small tire stuff, like 26.85 tire, 8th mile stuff, and my car at that time it'd go 490s, 50s on the 26.85 tire, and I mean, we could just rinse and repeat within 100th every single time down the racetrack as long as we didn't do something dumb. But the downside is yeah, you got typically a lot larger camshaft, more lift, more
Mhm.
duration. It's harder on valve springs. It's like typically a higher compression too, because I mean nitrous definitely wants a little more compression. Certainly, if you're starting to lean on it harder. So yeah, that's certainly why turbo stuff is nice, because I mean, like the cam in my car, it's like 230 degrees at 50, and it's got just a little over 600 lift. So, I mean, it's not a big camshaft, and it just, especially in a 427 cubic inch engine, I mean, that's a pretty small cam. And I mean, like Steve said earlier, shift the thing at 65, 6,700 RPM, just don't have to rev it up. Now,
Mhm.
it will make more power if, my combination, at least anyways, because of the turbos. I mean, when I go into go fast mode, we'll shift it at like 72, 7,300 or something, and it still makes good power. But even with that small lift cam and all that kind of stuff, it's still easy on parts.
Right.
So I think that's the big difference between a nitrous deal and a turbocharged deal.
And I'd agree.
Well,
Like I think that you can drive the consistency back down by having nitrous, where atmospheric stuff doesn't matter, because I'm getting back to this point. Like I'm spraying enough to get back to here, but like the longevity of that engine on the street, I think, is the problematic piece of it.
Yep.
Because somebody says I have to run 110 all the time, or something thereabouts. I mean, I think you have to like partner nitrous power adder cars with NA cars, and then look at the failure modes in the NA cars that want to try and make the trip, and it's similar.
Interesting.
Does a nitrous car move with changing the
It's
weather?
valve train generally is the failure mode.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, a nitrous car is similar to a turbocharged car as far as weather changes go, for sure.
Is it?
Like it's what a nitrous engine is really likes or doesn't like is humidity. If they typically like humidity just because it helps keep the detonation down on the engine.
Sure.
But if it gets really dry, a nitrous engine can get pretty cranky, and the tune-up window gets really, really small. I know that's what we always face. Like when I ran my car, we go to like Vegas or something like that, where it's super dry, like 7% humidity or something like that.
It's a dry heat.
It's just but it's just begging to eat a piston. I mean, it's just like when there's no water in the air, it doesn't help cool it down, and so the tuning window gets really tight with a nitrous deal too. So
interesting. Yeah, and Jan Haas are saying carrying bottles and runs per bottle is a pain too. That's good. But the key comment here is one I'm excited about. He says, I think Brian and Jay have me ready to make the change, just because he's been an NA guy for a long time. And I've been trying, man. Please put a turbo in that car. And
come on, Stoney, get it done.
Hopefully you will. So we'll see. Y'all, I want to say thanks. I want to say thanks for coming on tonight. Appreciate you spending 2.5 hours with us here. I want to say thanks to everybody in the comments for asking you guys questions, making comments about what you're talking about, and all that kind of cool stuff too. So it sounds like we're definitely going to see Dustin and Steve at Drag Week. We're going to see Brian and Jay at Drag Week. The plan for the next couple of weeks is just kind of Drag Week coverage. I feel like this is a big turning point event. We're moving into what's crazy is like the third decade of drag and drive racing. Like, this event will be kind of the kickoff to its 20th anniversary. All the stuff that's come before. You've seen insane growth the last 4 years, and we're not even scratching the surface. I think we're really fixing to see a huge growth in drag and drive and just people putting their cars on the street. I think there's been a lot of people that have had race-only cars that have enjoyed hanging out in their toter homes and stuff that are fixing to get these things out and do some driving. And I appreciate you guys being on and telling stories, hopefully motivating some of those folks. I know there's a guy in here earlier talking about he's excited for his first event. So, appreciate you guys telling the stories.
There's a lot of cars out there can run in our class that they need to push a little harder and come join us. There's a lot of guys that show up, I think, in our class that are just kind of laying back a little bit. They need to step it up, come have some fun.
Mm-hmm.
I agree.
I feel that way. I feel there's always that another 10 guys back there to kind of, they don't want to push it so hard, but they should.
Yeah.
It's pretty rewarding to get a podium in this class.
Well, yeah, especially at Drag Week. I mean, this class has been very competitive the last several years, but it's going to be real tight now because there's only one 850 class at Drag Week. Really, and I guess there's 4, let's see, big block and small block. So I mean, there's a lot that goes on, but this class here, I love it. Y'all know I do, and can't wait to hang out. So,
all right,
awesome.
Yep, we're going to throw you guys backstage. Hang out for just a minute. Let us finish the show up, and then we'll talk backstage for probably another 20 or 30 minutes. So, all right, thanks again, guys.
50 or 60.
Thank you.
Awesome, dude. What a great night, man. This was a ton of fun, and again, I appreciate those guys. And stay here, Dustin. Where the hell is Dustin on the screen here? Sorry. I'm trying to take you off. All right. Anyways, thanks a bunch, guys. We appreciate it. The next episode is going to be crazy. We have Jim Greenleaf and Tommy Dupree of Summit Racing are going to be on. And I'm also going to see if I can get one other guest early on in the show to do some Drag Week conversations. But Tommy and Jim will be a good interview because, one, Summit Racing, obviously just the scope of stuff they do for the community of automotive enthusiasts, but then also those guys are racing at Drag Week. So Tommy's bringing his truck, Jim's going to be his co-pilot again, so this should be pretty fun for that. But I'm ready, dude. I know you're not coming to Drag Week. I know you're probably tired of hearing me talking about it, but we're getting close, man. It's going to be pretty cool.
Yeah, it should be good. Obviously, it's been a busy year, and obviously just can't make that one happen, but I'm excited for you guys to go and cover it and see everything about it.
Yep. All right, sir. Well, lead us out, man.
All right. Again, thank you, everybody that has been on here tonight. We've had a ton of viewers, ton of comments, so we appreciate each and every one of you, every one of our race car friends. Thank you for being here tonight. And our sponsors, obviously, we can't do the traveling and all that stuff, camera equipment, everything we do. Obviously, our sponsors are what make that happen. So if you guys are doing some shopping, check out Summit Racing Equipment, Deechworks, Molly Motorsports, Driven Racing Oil, Howard's Cam, J-Wire Solution, AFCO, Performa-Built Transmission, Car Change 3D, Power Tube TV, WAF Racing, Sweet Patina, and Racing Junk. We will see you guys on the next episode.
Sweet. See you.